B'Shem Hashem Naaseh V'Natzliach. Shiur Torah, always amazing to be in Miami. The Miami group, All Girls group, Baruch Hashem, continues to grow, Baruch Hashem. We continue to get closer and closer to Hashem Yitbarach. One thing I can tell you today is hold on to your seats because there's going to be some fireworks. Baruch Hashem, our series of Pirkei Avot has now reached 40. 40 different shiurim, each one on the average between 2.5 to 3 hours of different things that we try, Baruch Hashem, all because of Hashem, to be very different from the previous ones. Usually we try to study hard enough where we have the merit, not the knowledge, but the merit that Hashem will give us new chidushim to say every shiur so no one gets bored. And also to prove to everyone that the Torah is endless, not just because of these 40 chidushim or 40 different shiurim, because there's an endless amount of Torah. You watch my shiurim, you watch Rav Mizrahi shiurim, you watch Rav Alon and Ava shiurim. All of these different rabbis, they don't say the same thing, say different things. So Baruch Hashem, you see that the Torah is endless. Now, also before I forget, let's do some refuah shlema. This shiur will also be for refuah shlema for Michel Koto, Amparo Belufe, Reuven Joseph Ben Rivka, Sara Lea Bat Sara, Gladys Nunez, Edilma Guerrero, Josefina Matos, Esperanza Avila, Raquel Sandler and Monty Sandler, Lourdes Renzoli, Yeshua Michael Ben Hadassah, David Gamliel Ben Hadassah, Nancy Devesa, Patricia Valmana, Sonia Suarez, Nicole Valmana, Augustin Hernandez, Jorge Hernandez, Isabel Betancourt, Liliana Antibonilla, Gilberto Meneses, Jacqueline Rojas, Roger Prado, Ada Vasquez, Jocelyn Morizon,
and Vasquez, Edna Vasquez.
Edna Vasquez.
Enid Vasquez.
Enid Vasquez.
Oh, Enid Vasquez.
And
Suncha Vasquez.
Suncha Vasquez.
Can you add Yehuda Ben Dvora?
Yehuda Ben Dvora.
Dvora Bat Mercedes.
Dvora Bat Mercedes. Sarah Bat Levana, Levana Bat Sarah, Doris Bat Jora, David Ben Nasriya, and all of Am Yisrael. May Hashem give them in the merit of this shiur, anyone that I remembered, anyone that I forgot, or anyone that I think of. May Hashem give them refuah shlema, refuat nefesh, refuat aguf, and give them the merit to see the light, to see the truth of the Torah in this world. So today, Baruch Hashem, we are up to shiur number 40. It's a very special number in the Torah. You'll see that the number 40 is one of the few numbers that reappears in the Torah. Just like the number 7 reappears several times in the Torah, the number 40 appears several times in the Torah. Whether it's after 40 days of the Mabul, it took and went into the next level. Whether it's 40 days and 40 nights that Moshe Rabbeinu was in Mount Sinai, and several other times the Torah mentions the number 40 as a symbolic number for renewal, a symbolic number for something renewed, refreshed, and in essence a completion of tshuva. So Baruch Hashem, we had the merit to do all of these shiurim with you, and today we're going to continue the Pirkei Avot series. But before that, we're going to continue the public service announcement that we started yesterday in regards to, unfortunately, the war, the silent war that's happening all over the Western world, especially in the United States, with that many people just fail to pay attention to, either because they're naive or clueless or ignorant, whatever the case may be. Right now, the war of Gog and Magog physically has already started. There's really no denial. You see what's happening with Russia, Syria, Turkey, the United States, North Korea. I mean, there's no secret we're at war. But we're not talking about this war. That's not the dangerous war. The dangerous war that Am Yisrael is in right now is the war that most of Am Yisrael don't even know they're in. And that's the spiritual war we have against Edom, against Esav, against Christianity, against the New Testament, against the Avodah Zarah that many people are trying to somehow fit into a box and make it look okay. You know, if you repackage a pig with a bow, he's still a pig. But today's politically correct world is making the same mistake we've made several times in history, which is trying to repackage the pig. They're trying to repackage the Avodah Zarah that's written about in the New Testament in a nicer way to make them look like it's okay to be a Oved Avodah Zarah, to be an idol worshipper. No, maybe they're not idol worshipping. Maybe they're just, saying he's the Mashiach and not really God. Maybe, look, they mean well. They invest a lot of money into the land of Israel. So what's the quarrel about? Although all of those things seem nice, and although different organizations like AIPAC, the Jewish Federation, and I think Christians for Israel, and many, many other organizations invest millions upon millions of dollars into Israel, I'm afraid to break the news to anyone that hasn't woken up yet that this is not a gift per se. This is a investment. This is more of a loan, which eventually is going to get called. Eventually the lender is going to want his money back with interest. Meaning they're not investing into the land of Israel because they really want the Jews to remain Jews. They're investing because ultimately they're hoping and praying that all of these Jews become Christians. And anyone that says otherwise is either a fool or blind. And how do we know this? Simply by looking into their New Testament. Now, unless you're doing this professionally, you're not allowed to look into the New Testament according to the Rambam. But if you simply look into the New Testament, you don't have to go too far. If you talk to any real Christian, you don't have to go too far. They're not denying it in any way, shape, or form. Their number one mission in life is to convert Jews. Just like we believe that to save a Jew, a fellow Jew saves another Jew, bought himself his own Olam Haba, your whole life living here, suffering like Job for 70 years, is worth it if you're able to make one Jew do tshuva. One Jew, not the whole Am Yisrael, not the whole community, not even your own family. One Jew. Pick any Jew in the world. You make him do tshuva, you make him keep Shabbat, lay tefillin, keep tarat mishpacha, start becoming a woman, becoming modest, keep mitzvot, keep Shabbat, all of those things. Your whole 70 years of suffering, even if you suffered like Job, is already worth it. Why? You have Olam Haba, you have eternity. For one Jew. Unfortunately, Hashem, everything that He created an opposite, a contrary, something that's fighting it. So just like He has Kedusha, He has Tum'ah. So the Satan is implanted into the head of the followers of the New Testament that their number one mission is eventually to convert all the Jews. Now some may deny this and say, no, we're not trying to, you could stay you, we could stay us, but in reality the leaders, you talk to them, it's different. You don't want to talk to the leaders, just look at the book itself. Now if anyone says, listen, we don't follow what the book says, then that means that you're just creating your own religion, which is a different problem. So it's time this has finally been said of what does the Torah actually say about Christianity. If you remember several months ago, we actually had our, I think it was the number 5 or number 6 shiur in this series, a Mishnah. A Mishnah, I believe it was the 6th Mishnah. 6th Mishnah in the whole series, which talked about something critical that happened in history. Yeshua ben Parachia ונתניה הרבלי קיבלו מהם. יהושע בן פרחיה אומר, עשה לך רב וקנה לך חבר, והווה דן את כל האדם לכף זכות. Yeshua ben Parachia says, make yourself a rabbi, acquire yourself a friend, and judge everyone favorably. So this seems like an innocent word of advice from one of the greatest sages that ever lived when you read the literal sentence. But when we actually studied it together, we're obviously not going to repeat the whole thing, but when we studied it together, we see that there's actually a much deeper meaning to that Mishnah, which is the fact that the whole Mishnah was written by Yeshua ben Parachia after his student, J.C. Penney, Jesus, whatever you want to call him, fell off the derech. Yeshua ben Parachia was one of the Tanaim HaKadoshim, was one of the giants that was so holy he was able to revive the dead. And Yeshua ben Parachia had many students. One of them was Jesus.
Wow.
And so Jesus was obviously, as everyone knows and no one denies, was originally a Jew. But he wasn't just a Jew, he was actually a Talmid Chacham. He was actually someone that knew a little bit of Torah. Now, in the Gemara, Jesus is mentioned multiple times. He's mentioned in Masechet Sanhedrin, page 107. He's mentioned in Masechet Sotah, page 47. He's mentioned in Masechet Avodah Zarah, page 17, Brachot 17, and also Masechet Gittin. And a few other places are referencing him, but there's a debate of whether it's him or it's not. But nonetheless, he's mentioned countless times. But in most versions of the Gemara, you're not going to actually see Jesus' name. And the reason why is because after the Gemara was originally written, because it was all full of truth, and we didn't think about political correctness, we didn't think about persecution, we didn't think about consequences. Am Yisrael heard, Am Yisrael wrote. But unfortunately, the evil Goyim decided that the things we wrote in the Gemara about Jesus were not exactly very good for them. Because number one, it completely destroyed their religion, disproved their religion, and number two, it also made it made fun of it, made a mockery of it. Now in Judaism we learn in the 5 books of Moses, and we also learn in the Gemara, which we went over yesterday, it's actually a mitzvah. It's actually one of the 613 mitzvot, to make fun of idolatry. This is why we call J.C. Penney. It's not because we don't like Christians. Christians could be wonderful people. Unfortunately, they're mistaken. They could be wonderful people. We have nothing against them. This is not about racism. This is not about not liking Christians. I have plenty of people that I know that are wonderful people, but Christians. There's nothing against them. And to clarify it, this is nothing against the people, regardless of what religion they are. It's against idolatry. It's against things that are against God. It's the only thing that we care about. There's a very famous book about an event that took place nearly 900 years ago in the land of Kuzari. Some people say today it's called Georgia. Not America, Georgia.
Georgia from
Russia.
Russian
Right.
territory.
And the king of Kuzari had a dream. His whole life he was trying to serve the one and only God, but he never knew which way to do it. So, what were the 3 major religions? There was Islam, there was Christianity, there was Judaism. Now he immediately discounted Judaism. He said there's only a few of them, they're all over the place, there's no way that the Jews are right. So he invited the Christian over. Christian priest, tell me about your religion. He started asking him questions. He goes, where's your source for all of these answers that you give me? He goes, oh, it's the Jews. Our source is their Torah. He goes, oh, okay. Bring if you're not the source, I want to go to the source. Why am I going to go to a middleman? Why am I going to go to the guy that's using somebody else as a source? Let me go to someone else that actually has a source. So he calls the Arab, he calls the Muslim guy. He goes, okay, so tell me, answer some questions. He gives him some answers. He goes, oh, okay, nice. What's your source? Where'd you get your documentation from? Where'd you get your information from? He goes, oh no, it's the Jews. They got it at Mount Sinai from God. He goes, oh, you too? So what am I going to deal with you for? Another middleman? What am I dealing with the mechanic for? Let me go deal with the owner. So he invites the rabbi. Rabbi Yehuda Levi wrote this book, and the entire book is truly 100% siyata d'ishmaya. You see the conversation between the king of Kuzari and the rabbi, and he asks him very, very difficult questions. The most difficult questions you could possibly imagine, philosophical questions, proofs, everything and anything you could want. This is why many Batei Din and rabbis that deal with conversions highly recommend everyone to read this book. This book should be read by every Jew, nonetheless, every person on earth, but definitely by people that are converts, because anyone that is converting might still have some type of doubt. It's called Kuzari. The Kuzari. K-U-Z.
K-U-C.
K is in Kelly. U. Z is in zebra. A-R-I.
A-R-I. Okay.
Yeah, the Kuzari.
Musari.
And it's there's several versions of it that have been written. I think there's one of them by Feldheim and a few others, but nonetheless, it's a very famous book. It's full of amazing information about Judaism, about the Torah, and really the whole philosophical arguments, scientific arguments, any type of argument you have, it's in this book. It's a deep read, but it's well worth the effort. And at the end of this story, after the king got all of his questions answered, he eventually not only converted himself, but his entire people converted. And the reason why many people believe that the Kuzari is really the Georgian Jews of the Kuzari, is because they don't have any Kohanim. Now, as you know, or as a reminder, only a natural born Jew could be a Kohen. So when an entire nation doesn't have Kohanim, an entire community of Georgian Jews don't have Kohanim, it makes it very interesting. How do you not have any Kohanim? So many believe that the Georgians are the original, the converts that started as the Kuzaris. So why do I mention this story? Because the Kuzarian king was actually very righteous, but he was trying to worship Hashem in different ways. He tried to follow this one, that one, and what led him to call the three major religious leaders was a dream. He had a dream where an angel came to him, and the angel told him, God is saying that your intent is welcome, but your deeds are not. The fact that you want to worship God, it's welcome, we like it, but the way you're doing it is wrong. The way you're doing it is wrong. The fact that you say, listen, you believe in God, good, Chazaku Baruch, but if you're making JCPenney your Messiah, if you're worshiping him through the New Testament, if you're calling him God Chas v'Shalom, or he's part of God, or anything like that, I'm sorry, my friend, you're doing it the wrong way. So this debate is not the first or the last. There's also a very, very famous debate that the Ramban, with the N at the end, had in front of the king, which obviously he won. And there's many debates throughout history that the Jews have had with Christianity, and it's time after time, anytime we've sent one of our leaders to debate, they've won the debates. And even today, anyone that knows how to debate, it's 5 minutes you can beat Christianity. Unfortunately, some people don't know how to debate, or they just like this limelight. So they go and they're a rabbi and they want to debate somebody that's really a miktsoi, that's really professional, and they look foolish. But when someone is a professional and knows how to debate, but not only that, knows the information, and I don't mean just know the Torah, know the other side. To win a debate, for anyone that ever wants to debate anything in life, if you're a salesman, you need to debate. If you are you're going to have, in general, life, day-to-day life, you're going to have certain arguments. You need to know how to win an argument. One of the ways to win an argument that's the most valuable way, most authentic way, without yelling, screaming, and making yourself look like a fool, is you need to know more information about the other side than they do. Simple. If you're just using your own information, they don't count your information as valid. So you tell them, listen, it says in Exodus 23, like, yeah, I don't consider Exodus anything. Yeah, but it says in the book of this, yeah, I don't consider that anything. So if you can prove them wrong through their own words, you won. You understand? So, a very famous debate that millions have watched by Rav Mizrahi has made thousands, if not tens of thousands, of people convert to Judaism, or at the very least become righteous Noahites and leave Christianity. Also the many debates that Rabbi Tovia Singer has had, destroying Christianity time after another. It's not hard to beat Christianity if you know the information. And again, it's not because we don't like Christians. We have the debates for two reasons. One, to make sure that our fellow brothers and sisters who are naive, ignorant, and foolish don't fall for it. And two, because we're supposed to be a light to the nations. So part of being light to the nations is trying to save whoever's really looking for Hashem. So if you see someone that's looking to do what the Kuzari king was doing, which is get connected to Hashem the right way, but he's doing it the wrong way. He's looking for Hashem, but someone told him along the way through Christianity. It's not his fault. He was born that way. Tell him, listen, my friend, let me redirect you. Telling him that, yeah, listen, your religion is garbage, it's stupid, it's this, it's not doing anything for him. All it does is create anti-Semitism. But tell him, listen, you're making it, your intent is good, but your actions are not. But how do you do it? You have to show him a few things. So for anyone that wants to debate me in regards to this issue, especially these so-called rabbis that are covering for Christianity, that they make it look okay, like this Kofer Shmuli Boteach and several other kofrim that follow in that type of direction that make Christianity look okay, the message is this. It's very simple. The only document other than our own oral Torah, which is the Gemara, which the Christians don't believe in, the only document that even says that Jesus was even alive, forget about what he did, didn't do, anything, is the New Testament. It's the only document. There was no newspaper that was written at the time that said, hey, Jesus died today and then in a few days we're waiting for him. Nothing. Jesus just had a Seudat Pesach. Nothing. No newspaper, no journal, no little drawing by 6-year-old kids in kindergarten. No king wrote a book about him. Nothing. Only document at the time, New Testament. Problem is, at the time is not really at the time. At the time is 70 to 300 years after he died. Meaning, at the actual time, nothing. Zero. Now, this very same document, called the New Testament, tries to connect itself to the only divine document in existence, which is the Torah, which they call Old Testament. Now, this New Testament says a few things. The most important thing for us that it says, to get us to our conclusion, is that Jesus is part of a Trinity, meaning that God is three, not one. As soon as any document says that God is more than one, it's no longer valid. You have to burn it. It's actually a mitzvot to burn it. So as a matter of fact, after I got home at about 2 o'clock in the morning last night from the shiur, I made the mitzvah. Baruch Hashem, I had the zchut to make the mitzvah, to burn those documents that I showed you guys last night that was sent to me by different missionaries. So, as soon as the document says that he is divine, it's no longer valid. It's no longer something you can look into, you could worship, you could use as a source, nothing. It's officially avodah zarah. It's officially idol worship. The fact that some sects of Christianity, there's probably, I don't know, 1,000 sects. Some sects of Christianity said, no, he's not God, he's the Mashiach. No, he's not God, he's a prophet. No, he's not God, he's a rabbi. Everybody made a different thing. That's not what the book says. The book says he's God. He's not God, but the book says he's God, which officially makes the book worth less than zero. Zero is if it was blank pages. As soon as you put that in there, it's worth less than zero. So, this is why you already know it's not divine, because that one simple sentence, that one simple fact in there makes the whole book Avodah Zarah. Now, what are the simple proofs that you can destroy Christianity in 2 seconds? Very simple, just simple facts you can prove in 2 minutes. Now, the fact that Christianity, and we're not going to continue talking about this, just get to the point of what's Christianity in 5 minutes to hopefully save a few souls from falling into it if they're already in it or they're thinking about it. Number one, reason why Christianity calls itself the New Testament, calls their Bible the New Testament, is because they're connecting to the Old Testament. They're connecting to the Torah, because everyone knows the Torah is divine. Everyone knows the Torah is from God. No one says it's not from God. Not the Arabs, not the Buddhists, and not the Christians and Catholics. No one says that the Torah is not from God. Everyone says it's from God, except the atheists, but that's a different story. They have a different level of Genom. So now, as soon as you connect the two, that means that your book, you're saying it's a continuation. If it's a continuation, that means it cannot contradict it. The second book has to agree with the first book. Now, if you look at every single page in the New Testament, you'll see that there's mistakes, which anyone that's 6 or 7-year-old yeshiva student could see it's a mistake that it shouldn't be made. So, for example, in the Torah, in multiple places, no less than 3 places, it mentions that Yaakov Avinu, Yaakov, our forefather, came down to Egypt with 70 people. 70. Not 71, not 69, not any other number. It mentions 70. New Testament several times mentions 75. Where do the 5 people come from? If you agree that the first document, the Torah, the Old Testament, was written by God, that means there's no mistakes. What happened with the New Testament? Where did the extra one? He forgot? God forgot 2,000 years later, he forgot? He had another 5 people? 1. 2. The Ma'arat Machpelah, the cave of Machpelah, where Avraham Avinu buried Sarah, where Adam Arishon is buried, where all the forefathers and the patriarchs and the matriarchs are all buried. New Testament has the wrong address for it. How do you prove it? Just go there, it's still around. So the wrong, they mention it's in the wrong city. Third, for anyone that says that the New Testament is saying that even though on one hand it says that Jesus was God, in the book of Matthew and I think also the book of Luke, they mention how Joseph, the carpenter, his I guess stepfather, was connected to King David. And in 2 different books it mentioned a list of 25 different names. The problem is, number one, both lists of 25 names are different from each other, meaning in their own book they contradict each other. In their own book they contradict each other. And number 2, it doesn't make a difference. Even if Joseph the carpenter was actually connected to King David, it's still not relevant, because just moments ago in the beginning of the New Testament you said he came from God. What difference does it make where Joseph was? He's not related to him. And countless other mistakes like this. Now once you see that there's even one of these mistakes that I mentioned, there's over 800 that I know of that the Rambam mentioned in his debate. Once you see these mistakes, you automatically, within a few moments, if you have a brain and a neshama, you realize this book is not from God. So the question is, what does the Torah say about Jesus? And initially we wrote about it in the Torah, but the Goyim decided to kill us over it. And they started murdering thousands and tens of thousands of Jews because of what was written in the Gemara. But Baruch Hashem, the truth will always survive, and copies of the original Gemara are still around. And the original documents are still around, so you can actually find out what it actually does say about JCPenney. So in the Gemara, Masechet Sotah, page 47, also in the Gemara Masechet Sanhedrin 107, it actually talks about the Mishnah that we just mentioned, where Yeshua ben Parachia who said, make yourself a rabbi and buy yourself a friend. It says the background of that story. Why does he say that in Mishnah? Okay, make yourself a rabbi. And the reason why is because it says the story of Yeshua ben Parachia is as following. Yeshua ben Parachia was one of the major sages that fled after the evil Romans were killing all of the sages. He fled. He went from Jerusalem to Alexandria in Egypt. A long story short, eventually he found out, he got some news that he's able to come back. It's calmed down, he's able to come back, so he and his students started to come back. On their way back, it says as following. As he was traveling and he came to a certain inn, went to like a motel of some kind. Hotel, motel. His host stood up for him in a display of great honor. They gave him a lot of kavod. This is one of the Gedolei Ador. Gave him kavod, gave him honor. And they continued to accord him much honor. They gave him a lot of honor. You see a tzaddik come into town. Ashrecha, it's a schut just to sit next to him, let alone for him to be hosted by you. Normal. He sat there and was praising the hostess. How nice is this hostess? Meaning, how pleasing are her deeds. What a nice lady. How she's tzaddikah. She values the Torah. She's feeding my students. She's feeding us. How nice. Very simple, innocent statement. Mistaking his teacher's intent, Jesus the fool said to him, Rabbi, she's not so nice, her eyes are round. Meaning he thought that his rabbi was saying how nice, meaning how pretty she is. He says, she's not nice, look, she has ugly eyes. This, as anyone knows even a little bit about Torah, or even about good midot, good character traits, is an awful, awful trait. Number one, you're a kfui tova. Number two, what are you doing looking at women? And number three, why are you telling your rabbi about it? You idiot. So, Yeshua ben Parachia was a Kodesh Kodashim, holy of holy rabbi, said to his student, Rasha, wicked one, these are the matters you occupy yourself with? We just ran away. Hashem gave us the chesed, did chesed by us, and let us stay alive. So we continue learning and publicizing His Torah, and all you can think about is whether she's pretty or ugly. On top of the fact that she's a married woman. And he kicked him out. Listen, you're not a student of mine. You're a womanizer. You're a shah. Even a 10-year-old boy who doesn't need to be a Gedolei Ador, doesn't need to know anything. 10-year-old boy with some decent character traits would know this is a bad thing to do. Let alone a bad thing and tell your rabbi about it too. Try to get him involved. So he kicked him out. Now, Jesus realized that he made a mistake apparently, and he tried to come back. But in order to know whether someone is truly repentant, you have to know if they're sincere. Now obviously, if you got kicked out of school, of course you're going to want to get back. Not necessarily because you want to go to school, but because your parents are going to kill you if you don't go back to school.
Yeah.
If you got fired, you're going to try to get your job back. Not really because you like your job, but because you need money. So it's not really sincere that you want to go back. Only if you really show that you're sincere through different efforts, through extra efforts. Mesiut nefesh. So initially when he came back to Yeshua ben Parachia tested him by saying no. Seeing if he continues to come back, I'll let him in, but I want to see. First time said no. Second time said no. On the third time he already told his other students if he comes back the next time, I'm going to say yes. Because that showed 3 times already, I'm going to say yes. And Jesus comes, when does he come? In the middle of Shachrit. In the middle of prayer. He comes to the rabbi, Rabbi, can you take me back? Now, Yeshua ben Parachia was in the middle of Shema Yisrael.
Whoa.
And anyone who knows halacha, even a little bit of halacha, not to be a Tana that's able to revive the dead. Simple Jew, 6-year-old Jew, just learned Modeh. He knows you're not allowed to think, not even say, to think of different thought other than Shema Yisrael when Shema Yisrael is happening.
That's why you close your eyes and cover
Even
your eyes.
if there's a snake on your foot, a snake, you're not allowed to move. Continue Shema Yisrael. This fool, who just made the mistake of his life, comes to him and he expects the rabbi to make a sin deoraita, a biblical sin, and interrupt the prayer, interrupt this conversation with God, and say, no, yeah, come, welcome. So Yeshua ben Parachia went like this, meaning, hold on a second, you know what it's saying? You say like this, body language. He can't say anything, but he doesn't want him to leave, but at the same token, he can't do anything. So he's always like this. Jesus had an ego the size of the equator and did not like what he heard. He thought that he's kicking him out again. He thought that he's not accepting him again, and he left and he said, okay, you don't want to accept me, I'm definitely going to use everything you taught me to go against you and all the other rabbis. And he started using different types of, some people say it's witchcraft, other people say it's Shem Meforash, regardless of what it is, he started using different magic tricks to get people to start following him instead of God. Getting people to leave Judaism and follow him. And for that is the reason of why it's written in the Gemara, in this very same Gemara, that Yeshua ben Parachia found out what he was doing and he said he wanted him to come back. He knew he went off the derech, but listen, we're obligated to love every Jew. Go try chase him. The Zohar Kadosh says, chase a Jew 70 years. If you get him to do tshuva, your life was worth it. So he went and he chased him. And the Gemara says the following. Yeshua ben Parachia said to him, repent, do tshuva. But Jesus said, replied to him, I have received the tradition from you. One of the teachings that I heard was from you. כל החוטב ומחטיא את הרבים אין מספיקים בידו לעשות תשובה. Whoever sins and causes other to sin is not given the opportunity to repent. Meaning, I already made other people sin, I made other people become kofrim, I made other people leave Judaism. They're not going to accept my tshuva in Shemayim. And he continued going on his way, and it says, the student, meaning Jesus, continued to practice sorcery and incited others and led them astray and caused Israel to sin. So he led other Jews off the derech and he did not listen to his rabbi. And in Gemara Masechet Gitin, there's a story of a seance that was made by Onkelos, the convert, the righteous convert. But before he converted, he did a seance. In the seance, he brought back 3 neshamot. He brought Titus, the wicked leader of the Greeks. He brought Bilam, the Rasha, and he brought J.C. Penney. In a seance. Before he converted, he asked Titus in English, should I convert? Titus says, no, you're not going to be able to do it. The mitzvot are too much for you. He goes, but who are the leaders in the real world where you are? He goes, the Jews. The righteous Jews, they're the leaders. He goes, okay, so why shouldn't I convert? He goes, nah, you're not going to be able to do it. Just torture the Jews. And in the world that you're in, and at least God will let you enjoy that world. So he says to Titus, what's happening to you? He goes, oh, I'm in the 7th chamber of Gehinnom. And what are they doing to you? He said, because I desecrated the Bet HaMikdash, every day they burn me, turn me into ashes, and they spread me all over the world, and then they gather the ashes back again, and they do it all over again. Why? Because I said, before I died, I said that God can't beat me. God can't beat me on land. He can only beat me in the ocean. So God said to me, I'm not going to beat you myself. I'm actually going to send my smallest servant. Who's the smallest servant? a little mosquito. My little mosquito is going to beat you. So he sent him a mosquito, went inside his ear, into his brain, started eating his brain. And for the next 7 years, he heard zzz in his ear non-stop. Eventually he told his people, take this thing out. Whatever it is, get it out. He ended up dying from the surgery, and out of the surgery they took out a mosquito the size of a dove. After all the eating he did, the Sudah Shlishit, Sudah Revi'it, Sudah Chamishit, all the Seudot for the last 7 years, the little mosquito ate his brain. But he actually had one last testimony that he wanted the people to do. He said, listen, so God can't find me, spread my ashes, burn my ashes after I die, and spread them in the 7 seas. So God can't find me. This idiot.
Sneaky.
So God says, oh, you want to spread the ashes in the 7? Fine. I'll gather them together every day, put you back together, burn you like you burned my Bet HaMikdash, and then spread you all over again. That was Titus. You trying to get away from Hashem? Good luck with that one. You get extra punishment for the chutzpah, which we learned from this week's parasha, Parashat Bechukotai. Imalachne mi bekeri. Someone that goes and treats Hashem with casualness, like he's one of his friends from the bar, he says you get punished twice. One for the sin, obviously, but one for going with me bekeri, for treating me with casualness, for treating me like I'm one of your friends. That's a double punishment. One you get for the sin, one is for treating me like one of your friends. So Titus, Baruch Hashem, is still going through the same procedure as he was when the story was told nearly 2,000 years ago. Next one was Bilam HaRasha. Bilam HaRasha was given the same powers as Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu was born, Hashem instilled in him the ability, the inclination, the possibility to become the prophet of all prophets. Moshe Rabbeinu took advantage of these qualities that Hashem gave him and became the prophet of all prophets. Bilam HaRasha was also given the ability to become the prophet of prophets. Instead, he used his prophecy to make money. He used his prophecy to make sins. What happened? He's called Bilam HaRasha, and the powers he had was given to the donkey. That's why the donkey was able to speak. And he is in Gehenom. So Onkelos brought him in a seance, and he says, no, should I convert? He goes, no, you're never going to make it. It's too hard, too many mitzvot for you. You're royalty. You're supposed to be the next Caesar. You're not going to be able to be a Jew. You already have a silver and a gold spoon. You're going to go become a measly Jew that's being persecuted? No way, you're not going to make it. He goes, yeah, but who's the leaders up there in the real world where you are? He goes, oh, of course, it's the Jews, the righteous Jews. So what are they doing to you? He goes, oh, I'm next to your uncle, Titus. I'm in the next pool over. He gets burned every day with lava and spread all over the world. Me, I'm being boiled in a pool of semen. Why pool of semen? Because my wife was the donkey. So he used to not only waste seed, but he used to waste seed with bestiality, with the donkey. So now I'm being boiled in semen. Next one was Jesus. They ask him, no, should I convert? Jesus says, yes, you should convert. You should convert. You should be a Jew. That's the Am HaNivchar. What happened to you? What are they doing to you? He goes, me, I'm also next to your cousin and Bilam HaRasha. Next to them in the next pool over. What are they doing to you? I'm in Tzo'al Otachat. I'm in burning feces. Why? If you're telling me, obviously if you tell me to convert, you know the truth. So why are you there? Because I went against the rabbis. I went against the rabbis. When my rabbi came to me after I made enough mistakes, my rabbi actually came to me and said, do tshuva. I said to him, no tshuva. There's no tshuva for me. And I continued on my way. In reality, I knew there's always tshuva. By now, I was already used to it. I was getting kavod, I was getting respect, I was this, I became a leader, I became, to these ignorants, I became Gdol Adol. Who were his original students? Illiterate people, poor people, homeless people. No one righteous or giant in Torah became a student. Only the fools and ignorance. But in front of the fools and ignorance, he was a giant. He was used to the kavod, he was used to the honor. He wanted to stay with it, and I went against the rabbis. And about him, the Mishnah, MUSSAR Pirkei Avot, in Pirkei Avot, the 6th Mishnah was written, saying, Aseh lecha rab. What does it mean, make yourself a rabbi? If you're going to make yourself a rabbi, he says something, you do. You don't ask. You don't ask why, I don't understand, maybe this, maybe that. If you make him a rabbi, it's the same thing as God himself telling you. If you're not going to listen, he's not your rabbi. No one says you're not allowed to ask questions. You're allowed to ask questions. But if he says, you have to pray at this time, you have to learn at this time, you have to do this, you have to do that, you don't want to listen, he's not your rabbi. And Shub and Pachia said, I used to be his rabbi, but then he decided to go off the derech. Then he decided not to listen to me anymore. Even after he made a mistake, I came back to him. And I told him, no, you have a chance to do tshuva. God says he didn't do tshuva. And because of that, he's still being boiled in
A barrel.
a barrel full or a pool full of feces. And it mentions the different death penalty he had in the Gemara. I mentioned several different parts of the story, like I told you. Unless you know where it is from studying, in most Gemarot, including the English version, it doesn't actually say his name. Why? And the reason why is because unfortunately we are in a world that's dominated by Goyim, and we're afraid of anti-Semitism. I'm afraid of God. Anti-Semitism is going to happen regardless. I'm not saying anything against anyone that wrote the book, so I'm not saying I'm greater than anybody else. I just think that the truth has to come out at some point. Number one, because there are many, many Jews that are falling for this stupidity of Christianity, Catholicism, and everything in between, as a result of the missionary work that's being done around the world, and to such an extent that it's more dangerous than ever before. At the time of the Romans or the Greeks, they did us a favor. They killed us. Because at least, if you kill somebody, you're just killing their body. Their neshama still goes to Gan Eden. But if you get somebody to bow to idol worship, you're killing their soul. So when these so-called Messianic Jews, who are really Christians in disguise, tell people, no, come worship Yoshke. Come to our synagogue, our Messianic synagogue. It's really a church. Or come worship, our New Testament. It's better. It's a new and improved and updated and upgraded 3.0 version of the Torah. Come. It's better. You don't have to do anything. You just have to give tzedakah. When you do that, and many people fall for it, and unfortunately leave God. What do they leave God for? They leave the well, an ocean full of pure water, the source of all water, for what? A broken cistern. A hole in the middle of the desert that maybe is going to have a drop. Instead of going to the source of everything, of all goodness, Hashem Yitbarach, they go to something broken. They go from the Creator to the Creator's creation's creation, meaning the lowest form of creation. The Creator obviously no one created the Creator. No one created Hashem. The Creator has creations. He has man. That's the creation. The creation, man, has its own creations. They invented things. They came up with different things, whether it's the iPhone and iPad and this and that, all those things, but they also invented different thoughts. One of them was Christianity, meaning that's the Creator's creation. It's the lowest form of creation. And this is the reason why Hashem gets so offended with idol worship. He says, not only did you leave me, that's one sin for leaving me, but you went to the worst possible thing you can go to. Go to nothing, you'd be better off. But to go to my creation's creation, there's no bigger chutzpah than that. So for the Jews that are thinking, is Christianity real? Is Christianity not real? This last 20 minutes easily proves it's not. You want more information? Go to Outreach Judaism, a website by Rabbi Tovia Singer. You want more proof? Watch the debate by Rabbi Yosef Mizrahi. You don't need to go too far. It's very, very simple. You type in these names, you get countless information. It's enough of this garbage that's infesting the Jewish nation, and people are falling off the derech. That's one. Second reason we're doing this is for the poor Christians that don't know any other way. the ones that were born that way, and they really do want to serve God. Just like the Kuzarian king. He really wanted to serve God. Just didn't know there was another option available. The pastor that's riding a $50 million jet told him God is Jesus. He says, listen, he got a $50 million jet. He must be doing something right. He doesn't realize Satan gave him a $50 million jet. He doesn't realize that. Doesn't realize that. He's thinking, he must be doing something right. He's got a new three-piece suit every other day. Must be doing something right. No, my friend. The Satan has a lot of money. And he's willing to give it to you for every single thing you'll do against God. That's his job. That's his job in the world. He started as a serpent, as a snake, and he's Satan himself. He's running the world. His job is to get you away from God. So if he has to give you a $50 million jet to do it, he'll give it to you. Depends how much you're worth. And this is the reason why the real wicked missionaries, real wicked Christians that are full-time employees of the Satan, their target is the Jews. Why? It's the most valuable customer for the Satan. To get a Jew away from God is much, much higher than to get a Gentile away from God. Because a Gentile in general, he's only obligated to do 7 mitzvot, 7 laws of Noach, and anything that's common sense. That's it. If he wants to do more, he wants to become a Jew, welcome. Baruch haba. Help him convert, teach him, do whatever you can to support him. So this is my message to all of them. All of those people that are looking for Hashem. In the book of Deuteronomy chapter 4, Hashem says to Am Yisrael and also to all people that read it, if you look for me, you'll find me. But only if you look for me with all of your heart and all of your soul. You're looking for God, you're not going to find Him at the church, my friend. You're going to find idol worship there. You're looking for God, you're not going to find Him anywhere else other than the Torah. Anything that contradicts the Torah, idol worship. So, this is, once and for all, has to be said, because right now we're under attack. There are different organizations within Christianity that are spending hundreds of millions of dollars to recruit simple Jews. Just that organization that I showed you the tape from yesterday, they said they're spending, just for the summer, they're going to send out 2 million DVD packages. You know how much each DVD package cost? We're not talking about pennies here. We're talking about millions of dollars. For what? Specifically to target the Jews in America. They're not targeting the Muslims. They're not targeting the Buddhists. They're not targeting the people that are atheists. Specifically on the packet says, this is a special message to the Jews.
Jewish people.
Wow.
Do you understand the danger here? There's 6 million Jews in America and they're willing to send 2 million. That means they know that out of the 2 million we're going to reach at least 33% of all the Jews in America just this summer. We're not saying the entire year, just this summer.
Wow.
Do you understand the danger that we're in right now? So if we don't speak up, who will? Makom she'en ish yishtadel liot ish. A place that no one's willing to be a leader, you try to be a leader. So, B'ezrat Hashem, this at least spreads the word for anyone that's actually looking for the truth.
Years ago, they're paying a lot of people to convert.
They're paying people to convert. They're doing everything and anything they could possibly do to get people to convert. Unfortunately, they take advantage of poor people. They pay their bills. They take care of their debt. They'll get them lawyers. They'll get them doctors. They'll do whatever they can, because every Jew, the simplest Jew in the world, is the biggest prize for them. It's like winning the lotto. This is why you see all these, Jews for Jesus organizations and all of these different forms of Avodah Zarah. Who does their commercials? Every single time. Even just simple messianic synagogues, organizations that have 500 members. On the average, out of the 500 member Keilah, let's say, that they have, congregation they have, there's maybe 5 Jews. At best, 20. The rest of them are Goyim. Even though they call themselves Messianic Jews, there's nobody really Jewish. But who does the commercial on the website? The 5 Jews. Why? That's the prized possession. That's the golden calf. That's their everything. Look, we got the Jew. Why? Because if the Jew says that Jesus was right, the Jew knows he was in Mount Sinai. Do you understand? Do you understand what's happening here? This is why we're in danger. This is why we're in danger. So now we continue, and Be'ezrat Hashem spread some light to Am Yisrael and anyone else that wants to join us. One of the things that the Goyim need to understand is in the Gemara Masechet Avodah Zarah, there's a big rebuke against the Goyim. Very big rebuke. After the end of times, Mashiach comes, the Goyim are going to come to Hashem and they're going to say, listen, okay, now we know for sure the Torah is real, great. Okay, but of course we didn't follow the Torah. You gave them Moses. We didn't have Moses. Hashem says, I gave you Bilam. Bilam had the same powers as Moshe Rabbeinu. As a matter of fact, he had one power that Moshe Rabbeinu didn't have. He knew the moment of the day, the rega, that I am angry. Not that Hashem gets angry, but the moment that Hashem passes judgment. How long is the moment? Some say it's a quarter of a second, some say it's 1/15,000 of a second. Needless to say, it's one moment during the day where Hashem delivers all of the judgment on earth and the universe. And Bilam knew that moment. Why is that moment so valuable? Because at that moment he was able to ask Hashem to deliver that judgment against Am Yisrael, his firstborn son. So that's when Bilam tried to curse Am Yisrael. He tried to curse him at that moment. And Hashem says, listen, I choose the rega. I choose if I'm angry or not. It's not that I have to be angry. So to show you that you're like a measly little creation, and I'm the creator, not only will I not be angry at that moment to curse my children, but I'll actually turn that moment into a blessing. And he ended up blessing Am Yisrael at that moment. And that's why in the 10 remembrances that you say every day at the end of Shachrit, one of the things that you have to thank Hashem for is that that moment that was Hashem Erachem was a potential opportunity for Hashem to destroy the world by allowing Bilam to curse us. He did not allow it to happen. So now the Goyim are going to say, you had Bilam, we had Bilam, yeah, but he went off the derech, he became a crazy. He goes, hey, that's his problem, not my problem. We had this, you had that. He said, okay, listen, but we built all these bridges. So your Jews can go to the Bet Knesset, so they can go to do this, to do their chesed. He goes, no. You built them only for you. You built it so you can collect tolls. You built the building so you can collect rent. You did this, all of these things you did for you. You didn't do for my nation. You can't fool me. Said, okay, fine, guy, we can't fool you. Give us one mitzvah at least. Give us one opportunity. One opportunity. He goes, okay, I'm going to give you the easiest mitzvah. What mitzvah? I'm going to give you Sukkot. You're going to be able to celebrate Sukkot. If you fulfill that mitzvah, a week-long mitzvah, like you're supposed to, you're good. You're saved. What do we have to do? You build yourself a little tent. You go in a tent, you sleep in a tent for a week. You have a etrog, you have a lulav, you have a few different things. You eat, you drink, you hang out with the family, you pray a little bit, so it's finished. It's simple mitzvah. It's fun. Anyone who knows the value of this mitzvah, it's the greatest thing in the world. As a matter of fact, the whole concept of Sukkot during biblical times, during the Bet HaMikdash, the entire time of Sukkot, that whole week, Am Yisrael would have 70 korbanot brought to the Bet HaMikdash every day. Why? One representing every one of the nations. Why? So Hashem protects every one of the nations. If the Goyim actually knew how the Jews are protecting them from evil decrees, from the Satan, from Shamayim who wants to go against them, they're giving korbanot, they're bringing sacrifices to Hashem. No, Hashem protect them, give them parnasah, they're okay, they'll do tshuva, maybe they'll convert. Look, we're bringing korbanot. We're helping them out. What would the Goyim actually do? Instead of destroying the Bet HaMikdash, the Romans and the Greeks and anyone in between, what would they do? They put their entire army to surround the Bet HaMikdash to protect it. To get, hey, this Bet HaMikdash is the reason why I get parnasah. But these fools didn't know this, so they destroyed it. So at the end of times, the Gemara in Avodah Zarah says that the Goyim are going to be given the opportunity to do Sukkot. As as soon as the first few hours of Sukkot comes, it's a hot day. When does Sukkot happen during the year? During the hot time of the year. The Goyim start complaining about Sukkot, and they start suffering. Hashem says, listen, according to the Torah, if you're suffering in a Sukkah, patur, you're released from it. You're not supposed to suffer with mitzvot. So patur, you're not obligated to do it anymore. They all started celebrating. This is obviously a parable, because the end of times didn't happen yet. They all start happening. They all start celebrating. He says, oh, this is why you can't get Mashiach, you can't get the reward of misled. He goes, what do you mean? You said we're patur. We said we're not obligated to do it anymore. Yes, but you're not supposed to celebrate. Just because the Torah says something is allowed doesn't mean you're supposed to do it. When my Jewish people go to the Sukkah and it's hot and they're suffering, or it's raining and they're suffering, or something's happening and they're suffering, I tell them they're not allowed. What do they say? Oh, wait, maybe the rain's going to stop. Oh, maybe we're going to get something else to cool it down. They don't want to leave the Sukkah. The righteous Jews, they don't want to leave the Sukkah. They're not looking for an excuse to get out of the Sukkah or any other mitzvah, because they know the value of it. You're looking for a way out. That's why you can't get in. So that's one. The second thing is, the second KIRUV, the second prosecutor against the Goyim, is going to be against the ones that actually know the truth. The ones that actually know that the Torah is real and have a legitimate opportunity to convert. I'm not talking about someone that doesn't have an opportunity to convert because their spouse, although they believe in the Torah and they accept it, they're not ready to convert. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people that are single or perhaps married and they both believe in the Torah. And tell them, so you're going to convert? It's like, nah, not yet, maybe next year. Why not? I'm just not ready yet. What do you mean you're not ready? God's real? Yes. He's going to be real next year? Yes. You like the mitzvot? Yes. You're going to do the mitzvot? Yes. So why are you waiting? No, I don't know. I just need to make a little bit of money working on Shabbat for the next year. And then I'll convert. How do you know you're going to be alive next year? Who told you you're going to be alive?
That's a good one.
So you're prepared to risk your entire olam haba for money for the next 52 weeks? Oh, I'm not ready to change my clothes. Why? You want to continue wearing mini skirts and tank tops? No, I just, it's hot. Oh, after the summer? Oh, so God's not around the summer? He's on break? He goes on vacation during the summer? So all the people are making excuses. I'm not talking about people that legitimately have a big test in front of them. The spouse believes but is not ready. He's spiritually not ready. He's not ready to take on the full mitzvot. That's fine. Or there's some type of major financial barrier. They live in the middle of the world somewhere and there's no bedin to even speak of anywhere near them. They have to move to a completely different country or a completely different state and they have $6 in the bank. Obviously Hashem, when He's ready for them to convert and they have the merit to convert, He'll give them more money to convert. But right now they can't convert. I'm not talking about those people. I'm talking about people that actually have a legitimate opportunity to convert and choose not to. Why? Their own preferences, their own yetzirah. And the Gemara says eventually those people, they're going to convert. He's talking about the ones that end up converting at the end. I'm not talking about anyone that didn't convert. It's a different story. I'm talking about someone that ends up converting. They go up to Shamayim, Hashem says, why took you so long? So they go against them. Instead of saying, welcome my son, welcome my daughter, Baruch Hashem, you converted, good job, you left Christianity, you came to the Torah, Baruch Hashem, great, good job. No, he said, what took you so long? You already knew at 16 years old that was real. Why did you spend the next 10 years doing nothing? You already knew at 31 that was real. Why did you do nothing about it? What, you wanted to watch a few more shiur Torah for more proofs? You already knew. After the first shiur you knew. What took you so long? Why did you spend an extra minute not fulfilling my mitzvot when you knew that every mitzvah is priceless? Instead, you went and chased money, you chased girls, you chased this, you chased that. How'd you do that? And suddenly I'm real now. It's a kitrug, it's a prosecution against them. So for anyone that has an opportunity, the Gemara also talks about you. Don't waste time. Be serious. Chase the rabbi, annoy him, call him, send emails. Do what you got to do, make changes. But again, it's not that the people don't want you to convert. It's just that when Hashem is ready. But you are responsible for the effort. You're responsible for the effort. The actual outcome is Hashem. You're responsible for trying. So what does trying to convert mean? Trying to convert means you don't stop learning. You learn everything you could possibly get a hold of. You learn the entire Chumash. You learn the different minagim. You learn all of the rules of the holidays. You learn all the rules of Shabbat. You learn the prayers, things you have to do in the morning, in the afternoon, at night, before you eat, after you eat. You learn everything you need to do as a Jew. You start doing it. You start going through an informal conversion. You start connecting to Batei Din. Where could I go? Which Bet Din can help me? Which community? You have to move. You can't be a Jew in the middle of Montana when your next door neighbor is 37 miles away. You can't be a Jew by yourself. You have to be part of a community. So yes, it's expensive, it's this, it's that. Hey, such is life. The Jews suffered for a few thousand years to be chosen. You're just going to get in? So all those people that become bitter, angry converts, we don't want you. Neither does the Torah. The Torah wants righteous people. Righteous people know they have to go through tests. They have to go through tests, obstacles, and to be chosen by itself is a huge, huge benefit. And the righteous converts that I've met in my life, greatest people on earth. The ones that are wicked, Shem and Achem, they're worse than the Erev Rav. I think the Erev Rav are already looking at them, it's like, God, these guys are really bad. I'm telling you, sometimes you see someone has the biggest opportunity in the world and they ruin it. So this same area, this same Gemara is telling you that you have an opportunity. You have a huge, huge opportunity, and not taking it is not smart. God doesn't want you to get divorced if your husband or wife supports you, they're just not ready to be Jewish. As long as your spouse is not an idol worshiper or an atheist, God doesn't want you to get divorced. Perhaps He wants you to get them closer. But if your spouse is an idol worshiper or an atheist, he's against God, obviously, you have to make a decision. Not even because of Judaism, because how could you live with somebody that has the exact opposite belief as you? You can't be a God believer and your spouse is an atheist and expect the relationship to work out. What's working out? You have completely two different ideologies. How could it work out? What do you have in common? He thinks he's going to turn into dust and everyone came from apes. You know that there's a real world after this. It's only the beginning. What do you have in common? So again, if that's the case, the decision's easy. But if the situation is different, where your spouse supports you, but they're not ready, it's a different story. You have to support them, you have to help them, you have to do what we try to do, and Baruch Hashem, Hashem gave us the merit to succeed in. Get your spouse closer, teach him, show him. Cry to Hashem to open their eyes. Don't stop crying. One of my students is going through a similar experience, and I told her, listen, one of the things I didn't say in my personal story is that I knew that my wife loved God. And the only reason she didn't convert right away was because she feared Him. Not because she didn't fear Him. But listen, I'm going to continue praying every day, and every single day I would pray, and every single day I would cry, and I told God I'm going to continue praying until I die. And Baruch Hashem, Hashem didn't let me die. And instead, turned her into the most righteous person I've ever met. So, again, there has to be a level of mesirut nefesh. Don't think it's an easy free ride, like you're entitled to be Jewish, like this awful wicked generation that we have right now, where everybody feels entitled because they have a few dollars, they know to use a few applications on an iPhone. Everybody's entitled. There's no entitlements. It's a privilege. Earn it. Pass the test. Hashem will bless you. But if you want people to just start kissing up to you because you did something, why? So, to know that once you get in, it doesn't matter whether people accept you, don't accept you. Go to a place where people accept you, obviously. But if people that are already Jewish are ignorant and they don't accept you, move. Until you move, act like they don't exist. Why? Because they're idiots. Because anyone that knows anything about converts knows that a convert is considered higher than a natural born Jew. A righteous convert, not a wicked convert. So, for all of those people, the opportunity is there. Now, moving on with this specific Mishnah. This is Gimel Chet 3:8. I already made a blessing before. Rabbi Elazar איש ברטוטה אומר, תן לו משלו שאתה ושלך שלו, וכן בדוד הוא אומר, כי ממך הכל ומידיך נתנו לך. Rabbi Elazar of Bartosa says, give him from his own, for you and your possessions are his. And so has David said, meaning King David, for everything is from you, and from your own hand we have given you. This is written in Chronicles 29:14. So how are we going to connect everything we just said for however long it's been, approximately an hour, I think? How are we going to connect it to this Mishnah? Be'ezrat Hashem na'aseh v'natzliach. So first and foremost, we have to understand who we're dealing with here. Rabbi Elazar ben Bartosa was one of the Tanaim that was written about in several places. He had a unique midah. In the Gemara Masechet Ta'anit, page 24a, it says there's Elazar ish birta. Elazar ish birta, Chazal says in a few places, is the same as Elazar of Bartosa. Just a different name for the town. Some say this, it's a name of a town in Bavel, in Iraq. Some say it's something else. But the point being is that they're saying it's the same thing. Now, Elazar ish Bartosa was a unique person. What was so unique? Other than him being Kodesh Kodashim, other than him being a giant sage, all those wonderful things that are given if he's already written in the Mishnah. Elazar had a midah that was unique to him. He had a character trait that was unique to him. He could not see anyone in need without helping to the fullest possible extent. Meaning, as soon as he saw someone collecting tzedakah, he'd immediately make a neder. He'd make a swear, a vow to Hashem Yitbarach that he's going to give them right now everything he has. Not like us where we look, oh, it's $100, that's a little too much. We think, no, 20. Yeah, no, you know what? You'll be fine. $5. Somebody else is going to give the other 95. We always rely on someone else. You ever notice that? Everyone always relies on someone else to give. No one ever wants to take the responsibility of giving himself. Elazar of Bartosa said, no. He saw someone in need. Here, this is everything I have. I have $10,000 in the bank. Here you go. Without thinking twice. To such an extent that the people that were collecting tzedakah started hiding from him, from busha. They started being embarrassed. Like, listen, he's a sage, he's a giant chacham, he's a tzaddik. But we don't want him to go homeless because of us. Listen, yeah, we're collecting tzedakah from the people to help other people, of course. But it doesn't mean to come only from one person. Especially if that person is going to go homeless because of us. So they started hiding from him. So one day, people were hiding from him, for his own benefit. At least that's what they thought. So for a while he was able to collect money. And one of his daughters was supposed to get married. So okay, so I'm going to go buy you all the things. The father's supposed to buy all the things for the couple. That's the Jewish tradition. The father of the bride is supposed to buy the things for the couple more than the father of the son. Sometimes all of it, sometimes most of it. point being is that he was going to buy the nedunya. He's going to buy all the things for the kala, for his daughter, for a husband, for their new home, and so on. So he had to collect nice savings. And on his way, he saw a couple of people that he knows that they collect tzedakah. He saw them, but they started running away from him. What did he do?
Chase them.
Start chasing them. We see somebody else looking for tzedakah. What do? We run away from them. Or if they run away from us, what do? It's like, oh, mazal, that's what Hashem wanted. We blame Hashem for it. No, if Hashem wanted me to give tzedakah, they wouldn't run away. If Hashem didn't want me to give, wanted me to give tzedakah, they would see me. If Hashem wanted me to give tzedakah, they would come to my office. Why do I have to call them? If Hashem really wanted me to give tzedakah, they'd send me an email. But you know they need, right? Yeah, but they didn't call me yet. Or they didn't text me. Or they didn't this. Or you didn't ask me. That's the best thing. Because they know, you didn't ask me though. Yeah, but you've been going to his class for 3 years. What do you mean he didn't ask you? Yeah, but he didn't ask you. Yeah, but you went to the Beit Knesset, that same Beit Knesset, 5 years already. Yeah, but the rabbi never asked me. Yeah, but you know that the kids were walking around with ripped clothes. His kids don't have any clothes. They wore clothes. Yeah, but he didn't ask me. Maybe they like ripped clothes. Maybe it's the style for the religious people. People are going to make every excuse in the world not to give. But if the car salesman says, listen, the car is $299 a month. Wait, for $299 a month, does it come with a navigation system? He goes, no, that's $50 more a month. Oh, okay, so why didn't you ask me? You asked the salesman to sell you more. Salesman to sell you more, you ask him to sell you more. But the guy needs tzedakah, the guy's trying to feed people, the guy's learning Torah, the guy's teaching Torah, all those things. No, he didn't ask me. He didn't ask me. I thought he was okay. He seemed okay. He was alive. He was breathing. What's the way? You waiting for him to die? Then you're going to give him? He doesn't need it after he dies. Yeah, but he was learning Torah all the time. He was an avrech. I thought he was doing okay. Why didn't you ask him? Why don't you ask him? Hey, listen, I know avrech only makes $500 a month. Now this avrech has 5 kids. 5 kids in nowhere in the world, not just in America. Nowhere in the world is cheap. Nowhere in the world. To be single is expensive. To have 5 kids is even more expensive. Logic. You don't have to be a genius. You have to be Gdolado. You have to be rocket scientist. By yourself, expensive to live anywhere in the world. 5 kids, wife, even more expensive. More people, more food. Bigger house, more things you need. So if he's making $500 a month, it's not even enough to pay for one person's bills. What makes you think it's enough to pay for 7 people? Oh, but he didn't ask me. Why don't you ask him? Why don't you just give? Why? Because you like money too much. And people that like something, they want to keep it to themselves. They don't want to give what they like. They want to keep it to themselves. If I like money, I want to keep it to myself. So, first and foremost, Rabbi Elazar of Bartosa is telling you, whatever I had, it's not even mine. And as soon as he saw those people, he chased them. And he eventually caught them. And he says, I'm putting a vow right now on you to tell me what you need. And 2 people embarrassed saying, listen, we're collecting money for a couple that are both orphans. He says, I'm making a neder right now that I'm going to give you everything I have. He gives them everything he was supposed to give his own daughter. He gave it to them on the spot.
Don't try this at home.
Don't try this at home. Depends on your emunah. So now he goes home, and on the way home, he realizes he has 1 shekel left. There's 1 shekel in his pocket. His little homeless shekel is in the middle over there. It's $1. Yeah, what can I do with $1? Okay, so I'm gonna, let me buy a little chita. Let me buy a little wheat, so I could, eat for 2 days. So he goes to the market, buys a little pouch with wheat. And he had a basement. He says, listen, I'll put it in my basement. When I need it, I'm going to get it. So he put it in his basement. So his daughter comes to her father and goes, Abba, what did you get? He goes, everything I got, it's in the basement. She goes to the basement, she tries to open the door, and she can't open the door. Why she can't open it? It's not locked. Why she can't open the door? Because the basement was filled with so much wheat that it even went into the knob, into the holes, into everything. The entire place was packed. Eventually she opens the door, all of it falls everywhere, it's packed. Massive amount of wheat everywhere. She knows her father didn't buy all this wheat. So she goes back to Abba, look what your lover did for you. Who's your lover? Look what Hashem Yitbarach did for you. She says, I'm making a neder that all of it will go to poor people. But since you're one of those poor people, my daughter, you don't have anything, I'm going to give you some too, just like everybody else. Each poor person is going to get a share. And you don't have anything. You can get your own share also, just like everybody else. Why did he do all of this? Because of this Mishnah. Rabbi Elazar Bartosa is telling us something important. He says, give him, who's him? Give Hashem Yitbarach from his own. For you and your possessions are his. He's teaching us something critical. Give him what's his, because you are his and everything you have is his. The money you have in the bank is not your money. The talent you have in your hands, you're able to build, you're able to do all different things, is not your talent. The wisdom in your head is not your wisdom. The things you have are not yours. So when Hashem is telling you, listen, I'm going to give you 100, not for you to have 100, for you to have 90. The 10, you distribute to everyone else. That's it. Instead of me saying, listen, I'm going to give you 100, give 90 to them, you keep 10. He said, I'm going to give you 100, you take 90. Give 10 to my other children. Why? Because I had to make the world in a certain way, and I had to make some people rich, some people poor. Not because I'm not fair, chas v'shalom. Not because I don't like the poor people. As a matter of fact, most of the most religious people in history, including today, are poor people. Most of the biggest charities in the world, who are they funded by? Poor people. The people that are closest to Hashem Yitbarach, who are poor people. So Adrabah, even to the contrary, of course Hashem loves the poor people. But He made them poor for a reason. Different reasons. There's no one-size-fits-all explanation. But He says, you I made rich, so you give to the poor. Not because I want you to be rich, but because I want you to be a partner with me in creation. So one time, there was a newly rich person. In the past he wasn't so rich. Grew up low middle class, but was very friendly with everyone. Eventually made a few bucks, and the rabbi that saw him growing up said, listen, he's used to come to my shul. Before he moved to the Upper East Side, he used to come to my class. Before he was a big time guy on Wall Street, on this, on that. So go ask him for a little bit of tzedakah. He's got a few dollars. Go ask him for a little tzedakah for the avrechim. Go ask him for a little tzedakah so we can bring misled back to Hashem. Go ask him for tzedakah. The people came to him. No way. I work hard for my money. You guys want money? You go work. That's the attitude of many rich people. And by rich, I don't necessarily mean multi-millionaires, by the way. It's a different class. Rich, I mean anyone that makes above what he needs. Now, I spent a little time on Wall Street, so I know a little bit about finances. The average income right now in America is a little over $51,000. $51,000. this puts America at the upper echelon of the world. Now, if you make more than $75,000 in America, 75,000, you're making more than 85% of the population in America. More than 85% of the population in America just by $75,000. As a married couple with kids. Baruch Hashem, many people are making $75,000 or more in a Jewish community. But if you ask them, are you rich? No, barely middle class. What do you mean barely middle class? Listen, my neighbor, he's got 3 cars, he just got a new Benz, he's adding another floor to his house. I only have a 2-story house. I only have 2 little cars. My lease is already 2 years old. Like they consider a 2-year-old car is already old. It's not 2-year-old, 2-year new. It's 2-year-old. He's already looking for the next car. Next car, next wife, next house, next everything. Everything is, after a year, it's already old. Tell people, listen. You tell people, listen. Maybe you should give a little more. What do you mean I'm barely surviving? I'm only making $75,000 a year. Between me and my wife working, we're making $75,000, $80,000 a year. We're barely surviving. What do you mean you're barely surviving? You're making more than 85% of the population. As a matter of fact, if you make $300,000, which is considered a high income by any standard, you're actually making more than 99.9% of the world. The entire world, 7.5 billion people at 300,000. So you don't need to be a millionaire to be the top 1%. You need to make $300,000 a year, you're already top more than 1%. But at 75,000, which is much more attainable for most people, any decent job you spend 5, 10, 15 years and you're going to make that kind of money, if it's a professional job. Listen, you're already top 85%. Now, if you just found out, hey, listen, I'm rich, feel better about yourself. So how come you don't give? Because you didn't think of yourself as rich yet. You thought, listen, I'm only making $75,000 because you're comparing yourself to Donald Trump. Because you're comparing yourself to the Bukharian millionaire down the street that has a 7-story house. Or the Syrian community that the average guy has $900,000 house and he just started his life. You're comparing yourself to people that are really multimillionaires. You don't need to be. So that's number one. Number two, Chazal tell us who is rich? Someone who's happy with what he has. If you're happy with your share, you're already rich. Rabbi Elazar ben Bartosa wasn't rich. But whatever he had, he was not only happy with it, he was excited to give it. He was excited to share it. Drink. But this guy that was newly rich in the story, you guys probably already forgot the story. The guy that was newly rich, when the rabbi sent the few students to go collect money for the kollel, for the yeshiva, for the bekneset, he said, no, I work hard for my money. I work for my hard money. You want money, you go work. The rabbi took it offensively. And he says, wow, how far he's come. Not how far he got in life. How far he is from the Torah. How far he is from where he used to be. He used to be one of my students. Now he thinks he's a big shot. So the rabbi himself came to him. He came to his house. Oh, Kvod Harav, I didn't know you were going to come. You should have told me. Made an appointment maybe. Come in. He goes, no, just 2 minutes, I'm going to be in your house. And the rabbi sees that next to his window on his 40th floor apartment, he also has a mirror. And outside the window there's a bunch of people. Some people are poor, some people are rich. And he tells them, what's the difference between this glass and that glass? Because what I mean, they're both glass. But how come you can't see yourself in one, you can see in the other? He goes, oh, because they put a sheet. Because exactly. The sheet is made of kesef. Kesef is a Hebrew word for silver, but it's also for money. It says the difference between the glass of the window, where you're able to see the world around you, or just yourself, is money. Before you had money, you'd look out to the window and you see everybody. You try to take care of who's next to you. Now you have money. Money is between you and everybody else. All you see is yourself. You're a selfish person. Don't be selfish. Just because you have money. Opposite. You should be more generous. Give Hashem a reason to give you. Rav Nisim again, Zecher Tzadik V'Kadosh Livracha, said a story, or an analogy. He said one time there was a poor guy, didn't really have much going for him. One day a really rich person comes up to him and goes, you know what, I'm going to give you a shot. Yeah, but I didn't even ask you for a shot. I'm going to give it to you anyway. What do you want to do? You want to start something? You want to start a business? You want to start this? You want to start that? I'm going to give you $1 million. $1 million? Just the interest on $1 million is $100,000. The guy doesn't have $10 in his pocket. The interest on $1 million is $100,000. It's already more than 85%. He said, I'm going to give you $100,000. He goes, yeah, I'm going to pay it back. I don't have a business. He goes, no, listen, relax. I'm going to give you $1 million. All you have to pay me back is $10 a month. Just $10 a month. You live 30,000 years, you're still not going to pay back yet. But $10 a month, I'm happy with it. If you give me $10 a month, I'm happy. Okay. You going to say no? Somebody gives you $1 million for $10 a month? Anybody is going to say no for $1 million, $10 a month? Take it, right?
Could even 100.
I'll even give him 100. Machmir. Generous guy. He takes it. Month comes by. The lender deposits the $10 check because he gave it to him in advance, so he doesn't have to spend 50 cents on a stamp. You give him the 12 checks in advance. Deposits $10 check in his bank. Bounces. Returned. Unpaid. There's no. Second month, bounces again. Third month, bounces again. Now let me ask you a question. Is this not a rasha? He just gave him $1 million and he told him, all I want from you is $10 a month. And even the $10 a month he's not paying him back. Is that not a rasha? Is that not a wicked person? Is that not an evil person? Is that not a person that should be judged heavily? Unfortunately, that's us. Hashem came to us, we had nothing to offer Hashem. Nothing. He says, I'm going to give you a shot. I'm going to give you eyes that people are willing to pay millions for it. I'm going to give you face, teeth. Just anyone that ever had problems in their teeth, just to have one root canal is $3,000. One root canal, one tooth, root canal, $3,000 in a decent dentist that's not a sandlal, that's not a shoemaker. One decent tooth, $3,000. You want to change your entire mouth? Minimum $50,000, $60,000. Hashem gave you 32 teeth. 32, 36, 32. Not dentist, don't worry. He gave you teeth for free. Gave you eyes for free. Give you hands, ears, legs, everything, free! Steve Jobs was worth at the time he died no less than $7 billion, some say double that. $7 billion. What did he die? A liver. Liver didn't work. Liver failed. Liver failed the first time, he got a new one. Second time he couldn't find one. He died because one, not the whole body failed. One body part failed. If it was the whole body, oh, you have a problem. One body part, small little body part, weighs a couple of pounds, failed, died. He couldn't, all $7 billion, couldn't buy a new liver. You have it for free. Hashem says, I'm going to give you a chance. For what? For nothing. All I want you to do, pay me $10 a month. $10 a month. Go in the morning, go pray a little bit. In the afternoon, pray a little bit more. Before you eat, say thank you Hashem for giving me the food. You didn't have to give me food. You don't owe me anything. You give me eyes, I use it to what? To go look at girls. That's not a mitzvah. I give you eyes to go learn Torah. Whenever you do anything, you say thank you to Hashem. The extra time that He gave you, don't go watch TV. Ta'avat Hashem. Don't watch the Avodah Zarah they have on TV. He says you have to work, you have to make money, you have to go to work, you got to go to Wall Street, you got to go sell buildings, you got to go sell houses, you got to go sell insurance, you got to go heal people. All of those things, fine. I understand most people need to work regular jobs. Understandable. It's no problem. It's not a... But have me in mind. Have me in mind, so make sure that the $10 clears at the end of the month. At the end of the month, make sure the $10 clears. What? Just when you are a doctor, don't say, listen, I healed you. Remember, I gave you the hands. I gave you the brain. I gave you the patient. Say thank you to Hashem. When one of your investments worked out, remember, I gave you the investment. I made the investment work out. Give tzedakah. Give me what's mine anyway. It's not yours. As Hashem says to the Navi, Liya kesef v'liya za'av ne'um Hashem tzevaot. Mine is the money, mine is the gold, said Hashem, master of legions. It's mine. All the money in the world is mine. All the gold in the world is mine. You are mine too. That's why when someone, Hashem Shalom, commits suicide, in Shamayim, they get judged for murder. It's not your body. Who told you to commit murder? Who told you it's your body? Somebody sent me a link today of this poor woman who was in serious depression and killed herself. But she left, I don't know, $30-40 million to some charity. So she asked me, is this a mitzvah? What happens to her in Shamayim? She killed herself and she donated $40 million. So for killing herself in Shamayim, she's judged for murder. You're not allowed to kill yourself. Doesn't matter, you're depressed, you're sick, you're whatever, it's not your body. Everything you have is on loan. And Hashem will decide when to call it. When to take back the loan. It's not for you to decide. Live, die, it's not your business. You do what you're supposed to. Second thing, as far as the charity, depends. If she had the merit, which I highly doubt, to donate the money to a Torah institution, then it's a mitzvah, obviously. That could potentially save her olam haba. But if she donated to, Red Cross, or maybe to build a fence for the elephant Bertha in Israel, and there's a zoo, they call it the Zoo of Noach. And this rich couple spent $400,000 building the elephant a fence. And they said, for Ilui Nishmat, to help the soul of this family. What helped the soul? How is building a fence for an elephant going to help your soul? How is saving the dolphin going to give you Efwash Lima? You came to this world to save dolphins? You came to the world to save great white sharks? You came to the world to feed elephants? There's Jews that are learning Torah almost 24 hours a day. They don't have food to eat. And you're funding $400,000 fences, $30 million to the Red Cross, Avodah Zarah, $40 million to all types of other stupidity to save the butterflies. You think it's a mitzvah? You're going to be judged in Shamayim for Avirah, for every sin that comes out of that money. It's not a mitzvah. It's not only not a mitzvah, it's a sin. I gave you $40 million, you spent it on saving butterflies and ducks. That only happens to people who think that them and the ducks are the same thing. Them and the monkey, same thing. Just like I have a right to live, the monkey has a right to live. If you think that, you should be the monkey and you should make the monkey a human being. Because he'd probably make a better decision than you. He probably won't donate $40 million to monkeys, even though he's a monkey himself. The monkey's smarter than the guys donating for the monkeys. Now, I'm not saying you have to go kill animals with Tzal Bal Chaim. There's laws for animals. But, come on, no? So if this woman, whoever, donates millions and millions of dollars or hundreds of thousands of dollars for this shtuyot, for this nonsense, not only is it not a mitzvah, it's a sin. So now Rabbi Elazar ben Bartosa is telling us something extraordinary, that if we actually understand it and take into account, it changes everything. Everything! As soon as we switch our minds from thinking the money I have in the bank is mine, to the money I have in the bank is Hashem. The money I make for my boss is mine, to the money I make for my boss is Hashem's. As soon as you make that flip, your whole life changes. As soon as you start realizing the truth that nothing is yours, then you officially can say, I started doing tshuva. But as long as you think that it's yours, you haven't even begun to do tshuva. As long as you think you're contributing anything to the world, you're creating anything yourself, you're still in level A, you're still just starting, you're still in the beginning stage. Why? Because the very basic principle is to realize that Hashem Yitbarach created everything. First commandment, you have 10 commandments, first one, I'm the only God. What does it mean I'm the only God? Well, he's afraid of competition? What does it mean I'm the only God? I'm the only one that ever was, I'm the only one that ever will be. I'm the only one that creates, including you. You're a creation, that's it. As soon as you realize that all of us are living in His world, not He's living in our world, everything changes. All of a sudden it becomes easier to give, because it's not mine anyway. There was a guy that I know really valued Torah. I didn't have misken, didn't have much time to learn. Wasted most of his life in the business world, woke up a little late to Torah, lost a lot of money, but says, listen, I really value Torah, I'm going to try to learn a little bit, but how much can I possibly do? These people really know Torah, Talmidei Chachamim. I wish I knew when I had millions, he says. I wish I knew when I had millions, I'd give it all of them. I'll give them all of it. But all I know is when I have 25,000. I have 25,000 left. That's when I knew how valuable a Talmid Chacham is. He says, how could I be a Talmid Chacham? They learn 25 years from birth to 25 years, and there's no guarantee they're Talmid Chacham. Me, I'm starting already in my 30s and I barely have anything. What do I know? I know who Moshe was. That's all I know. But he decided one day, the 25,000 I have, I'm giving it to Avraham. Why? No one asked him. No one asked him. The whole story happened, I think I said it in one of the lectures. Someone else was looking, that had money, was looking to do something for his father that died. The typical Israeli, what do they look for to do? Somebody dies? Sefer Torah. It's one mitzvah that has a lot of success. Anyone that dies usually gets a Sefer Torah. Even though it's only one mitzvah out of 613, and many Batei Knesset have plenty of Sifrei Torah, people love the honor that a Sefer Torah brings to a family and so on. So the rabbi that knew both people, he says to the guy, listen, yeah, you could buy a Sefer Torah, it's going to be, I don't know, respectable Sefer Torah is going to be no less than $25,000, $30,000, but the type that you want is probably going to be $50,000, $60,000. Or you can give $25,000, half, and you could help support 10 avrechim for a few months. 10 avrechim, 10 families you could help support for a few months. $25,000, half the price. And these people are walking, living Sifrei Torah. Each one of them is better than the next. Each one of them dedicates 100% of his time to Torah. Each one is a living Sefer Torah. Not Sefer Torah that sits in a closet and maybe or maybe not comes out a few times a week. Talk about living Sefer Torah, morning to night Sefer Torah. You touch him, you have to kiss him. For half the price, you could fund 10 of them and their entire families. The guy says, no, it's not for me. The guy that didn't have much money, that only had $25,000 to his name, the story hurt him so much, he says, I'm going to do it. The rabbi didn't tell him for him to do it. He knew he didn't have money. But the guy says, no. I can be a partner with 10 avrechim for a few months for $25,000 is everything I have. Wrote a check on the spot, wired the money. Baruch Hashem, he knows a little bit of Torah now.
You become rich again?
He became rich in Torah. He actually became a Talmid Chacham. He actually knew a lot of Torah now. Never thought he was going to be a Talmid Chacham. Hashem gave him much more than money. Actually knows a little Torah. Actually became something. So, why? Mesirut Nefesh. If he would have given $500,000 at the time he had 10 million, it's 5%. If he would have given $500,000 at the time he had 1 million, so still have a lot. You're giving your last 25,000. That's Mesirut Nefesh. That means you value my Torah on anything. You understand? So, Rabbi Elazar ben Bartosa is saying that guy, it's nothing special really. Why is he nothing special? All he did is he learned this Mishnah. He realized the 25,000 is not even his bichlal. It's only Hashem, he's only returning it to him. He says, oh Hashem, you forgot this in my bank. 25,000, you forgot it in my bank, let me give it back to you. You have actually people that learn Torah all day. I'm going to transfer it from me to them because it's yours anyway. That's all he did, it's nothing special. The Baal Shem Tov one time had a student who knocked on his door. And Baal Shem Tov says, who is it? He says, me. He says, who is it? Me. The third time he says, who is it? He goes, me. That's one of his known students. After the third time he said, me, he opens the door. He goes, I have a mission for you. What's the mission? Go to this wedding, to 2 towns over, go to the wedding. Once you get there, you know what to do. Okay. Rabbi says, we do. Student of the Baal Shem Tov who had Ruach HaKodesh goes to this wedding, he doesn't know anybody. He sits there at the end of the wedding. They find out that there's a golden mug missing. Golden mug that the family had a tradition from generation to generation. Passed this mug and it's missing. So they start looking around, who has this mug? Who's a new face? This one guy. Who is this guy? Who invited him? Hey, they start shaking him. It's like, where's the mug? I don't have it. He goes, where's the mug? It's not me. Pach! Where's the mug? It's not me. Pach! Where's the mug? It's not me. Pach! After 3 times he said it's not me, they let him go. He went back to the Baal Shem Tov. He says, why'd you send me to get a tikkun? I could have gotten beat up over here. Why do I need to get all the way over there to get beat up? Because you have to go to a tikkun for saying me. Who do you think you are? Do you think people are supposed to know who you are? Me. What do you mean? I'm supposed to know it's you? You had to do tshuva in his level, Talmid Chacham, in his level for thinking and assuming that the Rav will know who me means. So for saying me 3 times, you have to go say it's not me 3 times. When someone thinks that me is making the money, I'm making the money, it's not only kfirah in Hashem, it's not only heresy in Hashem that He's the one that gave it to you, but it's actually making yourself into a mini God. In Igeret Ramban with the letter Nun, this is a letter that he wrote to his son. Highly recommended letter. You can find it for free online, or you can buy it online from Art Scroll. They make this wonderful little book, and it has every line in this letter. It's only like a 2.5, 3-page letter in English and Hebrew, but the rest of the book gives you commentary on every line in the letter. This is a letter he wrote his son. It's not a book. He wrote a letter to his son, Ramban, 900 years ago. Just a simple letter wrote to his son. The Mefarshim are giving commentary to every line in the letter. And if they really wanted to, they can give commentary to every word in a letter. Us, we can barely write a sentence, an email. Text message is the most we can do. LOL. We can't even write laugh out loud. LOL. We have all these acronyms. He has a letter. 3 pages. There's books and books and books written about commentary of a letter, a simple letter he wrote his son. Now in this letter, the Ramban says the following. And now my son, this is in the middle of the letter, not the beginning of the letter. And now my son, understand clearly. This is to his son. He loves his son. He's not telling this to his son because he hates him. His son was a tzaddik. And now my son, understand clearly. So there's no confusion. That one who's prideful in his heart towards other men rebels against sovereignty of heaven. המתגאה בליבו על הבריות מורד הוא במלכות שמיים. Someone not even thinking he's better than, he's making the money, God's not there, chas v'shalom. We're not talking about that. He says, you simply think you're better than everybody else. You are mored b'malchut shamayim. You're going against God just by thinking something like that. For he glorifies himself in God's own robes. For it is written, Hashem reigns, He dons the mantle of grandeur. It's a pasuk in Tehillim 93. He says, this little piggy put the king's robe on, and he's acting like he's the king. You're still a pig. What are you so proud of? You're still a pig. He says, you think you're better than everybody else. Why? What, you have more than 2 eyes? You have more than 1 brain? You have more than 2 legs? And you, why? What makes you better? What makes you so better? Oh, you're smarter, you're richer, you're better looking. Who gave you all of that? So you're taking everything that the king gave you. You're wearing his robe, but you're taking credit for it. He gave you wisdom, but you're making like you be king. You're smart. He gave you looks, you're acting like he's the one. You're the one that made yourself good looking. No, but I work out every day. So what? Who gave you the strength to work out? Who gave you the ambition to work out? Yeah, but I did. Who gave you all of those things? So he continues to write this letter. For what should a man be prideful? What reason on earth can anyone in the world? He's talking about everyone, not just his son who's a tzaddik. Tzaddik. He said, what could a man be proud for? If he has wealth, if he has money, it's Hashem who makes one prosperous. Hashem gave you the money. If he has honor, people will say, wow, look, this guy, mechubad, he's this, he's that. People give you honor. Honor belongs to God. As it's written in the book of Chronicles 29:12, how can one glorify himself with the honor of the Maker? All kavod belongs to Hashem. What are you taking honor for? What? You gave the Divrei Torah. Well, Hashem didn't instill it in your mind. If he takes pride in wisdom. The guy learned Torah his entire life. His entire life learned Torah, and now he's giving a shiur Torah, and a shiur Torah, tzatzah, it's amazing. You're proud of yourself? Understand this, he says. God can remove speech from the most competent and take away wisdom of the aged. You're the great speaker. Hashem gave you a speaking ability. He can make you not be able to say one word in a second. 1 second. He doesn't have to think about it even. 1 second, no speech. Nothing comes out of your mouth. All the things you think you said, and you know, 1 second, gone. So one guy came to a rabbi one time and he says, listen, I understand Hashem doesn't want me to do this, doesn't want me to do that. I understand, but listen, I don't feel like giving any tzedakah. I work for the money, I don't want to give it. The rabbi says, why not? Listen, I'm cheap. The truth is I'm cheap. I don't want to give it to anybody. That's the truth, at least I'm honest. Just look, you have to be honest, I'm cheap, I don't want to give it. I got this money, I don't want to give it. Because what do you know it says in the Torah, Hashem's going to punish you. He says, no, I got something. What did you do? I did a hedge. What's the hedge? Protection. What did you do? I spread the money all over the world. I put a little bit in China market. I put a little on the US market. I put a little in gold. I put a little in lions. I put a little in bicycles. I put it everywhere. So in order for Hashem to really take all of my money, He literally has to destroy the entire world. Now Hashem's going to destroy the entire world just because my money? The rabbi says, what makes you think that Hashem needs to destroy the entire world to take the money away from you? He could just take you away from the money.
That is something.
Like that. Heart stops, Shem Elechem. Like that. All the vessels in your brain, millions and millions of vessels and lines and veins and so on. More wiring goes into your brain than all of the wiring of all the telecom companies on the planet. Just one tiny little wire, microscopic wire, doesn't work. Blood gets stuck over there. For a second. Gone. Gone. What makes you think He has to destroy the world to take the money away from you? He can just take you away from the money. You understand? You have a question?
Yeah, he also said, Makbiya shefalim mashpil geim, right? What does it mean, shefalim?
People that are down. So Hashem, He continues in this, He says the following. All men stand as equals before their Creator. All men. What does it mean, all men? What, the Goyim and the Jews are the same? What, the guy that's rich and poor is the same? The guy that's smart and the guy that's foolish is the same? What does it mean, all men stand as equals in front of the Creator? And everyone says, there's a famous statement, oh, everyone's equal. That's not really true, by the way. Everyone's equal, the way they mean it is not really true. Someone that has an IQ of 250 is not the same as someone that has an IQ of 50. It's not the same. What the Ramban means here is that all men stand as equals. And what the Torah means, all men stand as equals in front of their Creator, is that all men can reach 100% of their own unique potential. Each person has their own version of 100% of their potential. Your 100% may be his 50%. His 100% could be like Moshe Rabbeinu. Your 100% could be like a lower person. But if he reaches 50% of his 100%, and you reach 70% of your 100%, you're much better than he is. Even though his 50 is much higher than your 70, you reached a higher level in front of your Creator. It says everyone can be their own Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem gave and instilled power in Bilam the Rasha, the same type of power as He gave Moshe Rabbeinu. It says you can also be Moshe Rabbeinu. Instead of using his power and the prophecy that Hashem gave him to become Bilam a tzaddik, he became Bilam a Rasha. Hashem gives all of you opportunities to be your own Moshe Rabbeinu, to be your own Sarah Imenu. But you could also be Bilam a Rasha, or you could be Zevil. You can be wicked, you can be righteous. But know the following: His fury is cast down on the lofty. In His goodwill He elevates the trodden, the downtrodden. He says those that have their nose in the air, they think of themselves. The time of anger, Hashem takes like an atomic bomb in Hiroshima. You were all the way over there, you thought you were king of the world, give you a tiny little mosquito. Tiny little mosquito ate your brain. What do you think it was? Any leader in the world. Donald Trump, the guy from North Korea, from Iran, from this one, from past or present leaders, all of these people. You think any of them have even a quarter of the power that Titus had 2,000 years ago? They wouldn't even be his employees cleaning his bathroom. What did Hashem do to him? He sent him a mosquito. Mosquito! He was top of the world, he thought. Sent him a little tiny servant called a mosquito. To remind all of us, we're nothing without Hashem. But at the same token, He takes the downtrodden. Who? One time there was a guy, a little boy, young guy, says, listen, this Avodah Zarah you're worshipping, it's not for me. It's nonsense, shtuyot. Say, hey, listen, you don't worship this idol, I'm going to throw you in the fire. There's no picnic over here. It's not a free choice. What did he do? He jumped into the fire. You don't have to make a choice. I'm going to go into the fire. They look into the fire, they see there's not one, but there's two. Where did the other one come from? Where is the second one that's walking around dancing? It's the story of Avraham Avinu. Nimrod HaRasha. Nimrod HaRasha, marad be'Hashem. He went against Hashem, made everyone in the world idol worshippers. When Avraham said to him, this is all nonsense. You just made the idol. My father built the idol, you're worshipping him. I know it's fake, it's nonsense, there's only one God. He goes, well, no one God. Go in the fire. He goes, no problem. Jumps in the fire. Now at this point, Avraham Avinu never saw God, never spoke to God. God didn't disclose Himself yet. He didn't know God was going to save him. He jumped into the fire. He says, I'm better off jumping into a fire than worshipping falsehood. Worshipping J.C. Penney. Worshipping some Buddha statue. Worshipping some stupidity that man made. Better to jump into a fire than worshipping anything other than God. The angels screamed to Hashem, Hashem, let us please go save this righteous, only person on earth that's righteous. Let us save him. Hashem says, no. Just like I am one in the heavens by myself, He is one down there. He's the only one that believes in me. I'm going to go down and save him. I'm going to go save him. That's why when they looked into the fire, they saw two. They saw Avraham, they saw Hashem. Obviously, this is a parable. There's no physical body of Hashem for any fools that try to personify or humanize Hashem. But the point being here is that at a time that there was no one more shafel, there was no one that was lower than someone that got thrown into a fire. His father's an idol worshipper. The entire world is full of idol worshippers. You're all by yourself. Hashem says, him, I'll make him into a nation. I'm making him into my firstborn. His son, he's going to be Gdol Ador. His grandson, Gdol Ador. His great-grandsons, 12 of them, all Gdolei Ador. Their descendants, Am Yisrael. Giants, Chachamim, Tzadikim, Ad Ruach HaKodesh, prophets. Moshe Rabbeinu is his great-grandson. Moshe Rabbeinu. Why? Because he jumped in the fire for me. So Rambam says when Hashem brings, just like He brings down those overly confident and arrogant souls, He can take the one that's in the middle of nothing, in the middle of fire and hell and all types of problems, bring him up. Therefore, humble yourself, my son, for Hashem will lift you. What does it mean, humble yourself? And Hashem will lift you. Rav Nissim again used to say this wonderful thing. He says, the more of a nothing you make yourself, more of a nothing you think of yourself, not in comparison to everyone, but in comparison to your Creator, meaning that you know that everything you have is from Him. This is not, the Torah is not encouraging people to become depressed losers. You have talents, use them. You have skills, use them. But remember where it comes from. The more of a nothing you see yourself in, meaning the more you realize that you're depending on Hashem, the more of a something you become. The Stipler Gaon, Rabbi Israel Kanievsky, was Gdol Ador, had Ruach HaKodesh. So many amazing stories about him. There's one story, Rav Galinsky, when he was still a teenager, was sent away from home into a new yeshiva far away. They said, over there you'll do tshuva. So he went to this place. It's empty, synagogue is empty, but he hears somebody praying on the side of the women by himself, but not praying like you and I pray, Amidah, Shema Yisrael. No. What is he praying? He's crying hysterical to Hashem. Hashem, grab it. You give us mitzvot. I have to grab it. Every opportunity I have, I gotta grab it. I gotta grab every mitzvah. Why am I wasting time? I gotta grab the mitzvot. Take them. They're all diamonds. And he's crying to Hashem, Hashem, I missed an opportunity to grab the mitzvot. I need to grab the mitzvot. He's like, who is this kadosh? Who is this holy person? Understands the significance of a mitzvah. And he sees this 17-year-old young guy, a little older than Rav Galinsky. I think Rav Galinsky was maybe 13, 14 years old. He sees this young guy, mamash, giving himself mussar for not doing as many mitzvot as he can, crying about it. He says, just listening to him, I did tshuva. He showed me, I don't know him, but he showed me how valuable a mitzvah is. And I immediately went to yeshiva and I committed the rest of my life to Torah. So someone asked him, who's that guy? Would you ever find out who that guy is? He goes, yeah, he's my Rav. He goes, what do you mean? Who is he? He's the Stipler Gaon. He's Rabbi Israel Kanievsky. He didn't just become a Gaon. He worked for it. So the Stipler, it's the chidush of Moshe Rabbeinu, says in the book of Numbers that Moshe Rabbeinu was the humblest human being that ever lived. But of course Moshe Rabbeinu believed in his own Torah. One of the 13 principles of faith that the Rambam put together is that Moshe Rabbeinu is the greatest prophet that ever or will ever live. He's the prophet of all prophets. Anyone that says otherwise is a kofer b'Torah. Another reason why Christianity is led astray, because they think JCPenney is better. Or anybody. There's even unfortunately some sects of Judaism that think their rabbi that died is better than Moshe Rabbeinu. This is all shtuyot, it's all nonsense. One of the 13 principles of faith, you're going to go, B'ezrat Hashem, somebody goes to conversion, somebody does tshuva, somebody wants to get close to Hashem, they have to repeat 13 principles of faith. One of them, there's no prophet that was ever or will ever be greater than Moshe Rabbeinu. Now Moshe Rabbeinu himself had to actually believe this. Now how on one hand you're going to say you're the humblest man that ever lived, in the book of Numbers chapter 12, but on the other hand you're saying I'm the greatest prophet that ever lived? It's a little contradiction, no? It's not a contradiction. Stipler Gaon gives an amazing chidush. He says if a poor lady, poor homeless lady, is loaned the most grand dress there ever existed to go to a wedding, is she going to go to the wedding and show off her dress? How could she show off the dress? She knows she has to return it tomorrow. It's not hers. Because that was Moshe Rabbeinu. Moshe Rabbeinu knew he had all these talents. He's the prophet of prophets, Ruach HaKodesh, prophecy, see Hashem face to face, all these amazing things. Gadol Hador was the one that got the Torah, leader of Am Yisrael, the first king. Hashem decided whether Am Yisrael as a whole will live or die based on his 5 words. The entire nation was not as significant as Moshe Rabbeinu. The entire nation prayed for Miriam to get healed. She had tzaraat. Hashem punished her for saying Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu. She meant well, but she said Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu. Hashem says, who are you to say Lashon Hara about Moshe Rabbeinu? She said, but I'm a prophet. He goes, you're not a prophet like him. Yes, you're a prophet. Aaron's a prophet, but not like Moshe Rabbeinu. Not like Moshe. Nobody's like Moshe. He gave a tzaraat. The entire nation started praying for Miriam, crying tears. Not like us, 5 minutes we want to get out of the synagogue, go to work. Everyone's crying non-stop for Miriam for days. Nothing changes. Tzaraat. Aaron comes to Moshe and he says, please, she's your sister. Moshe Rabbeinu says 5 words. 5 words. She gets healed on the spot. 5 words, he says. That's it. His prayer was more significant than millions of people. He says, yeah, I know my prayer. I know I'm a prophet. I know all of these. He's not blind. He's not deaf. He's not foolish. I know. But I also know it's all on a loan. It doesn't belong to me. It's Hashem. It has nothing to do with me, Bichlal. Hashem wants to take it away. Like that, He takes it away. It doesn't belong to me. So when the Stipler Gaon is explaining, when it says that Moshe Rabbeinu was the humblest man that ever lived, it doesn't say he was some self-conscious person. No, he was ultra confident. You can't be a leader if you're self-conscious. You can't be a leader if you have no confidence. But the confidence wasn't in himself. The confidence was in Hashem.
That's why he drove it.
He knew everything belonged to Hashem. That's the difference between Moshe and the rest of us. We still have a large part of us that thinks we made the money. We made this, we made that, we knew this, we knew that. Moshe Rabbeinu knew, he did nothing. Nothing. And for all of those people that like to believe in people, whether it's their Rebbe, or it's their idol, or it's some other so-called prophet that's not a prophet, like Muhammad from Islam. Guy didn't know how to read or write, but somehow they made him a prophet. Shem Achem, if we have prophets like that. Or the other guy that was a womanizer, looking at women, they made him into a god. Shem Achem, if we have gods like that. Think about this. How can you make this guy into anything special? He probably had stomach aches. He probably had headaches. He probably had diarrhea once in a while. How is he a god? How is he anything special? The guy was eating macaroni just like you and me. He had desires. He had this. He had that. What makes him anything special? Everything is from Hashem. Everything's from Hashem. One time there was a fancy shul that Rabbi Ovadia was studying in as a teenager, young teenager. As you know, there's always somebody in a shul. There was this old man in a shul who didn't exactly value Talmidei Chachamim. So he sees Rav Ovadia as a teenager, who's not Rav Ovadia yet, he's just Ovadia, climbing on a very expensive, very fancy schmancy bench, so he can reach one of the books he wants to get. So the old man starts screaming at him, hey, what are you doing? Your filthy shoes, you know how much that bench costs? At the moment he said it, one of the gvirs, one of the rich people of the community, who was a Bukharian Jew, heard this. He goes, hey, be quiet. Tells the old man, be quiet. And he takes off his jacket, which was made of gold, had gold on it. The Bukharians wear very fancy, the old tradition Bukharians wear very, very fancy clothing. Especially the wealthy ones, they literally have gold in their clothing. He had a jacket made of gold. He took off his jacket, he goes, come. He goes to the bench, he puts it on the bench. He goes, here, step on my jacket to get your book. So the old man says, what are you doing? You're going to ruin your jacket. Ruin my jacket? What do you think this building is for? It's for him. To learn the Torah that's in it, not for you to sit here reading the newspaper. Why do we have this Bet Knesset, this Bet Midrash? It's for him, to learn Torah. Not for you to sit here yell at the Talmid Chacham. The only reason this entire world was created is for people like him, not you and me. Im lo briti yomam v'layla chukot shemayim v'aretz lo samti. Hashem says, if not for people learning Torah, keeping my covenant, the rules of the world will cease to exist. There's no purpose of the world if nobody's going to learn Torah. He says, I'm putting my jacket so you can step on it to explain to you and to even to myself, he says, that all of the stuff we have is meaningless. He has the gold. He has the Torah. Rabbi Elazar ish Bartosa knew this very, very well. He says, everything you give to Hashem, you're not giving Him anything really. It's all His. When you feed His children, all you're doing is you're saying, I enjoy being your partner, Hashem. Saying, thank you for giving me even the opportunity to give. In the Gemara, Masechet Bava Batra, page 131b, it teaches that if a person gives all of his property to just one son after he dies, the official Torah rule is that the father didn't give him all the money, but actually just made him the legal guardian of all the money to distribute it amongst all of his brothers and sisters. Because no father would be wicked enough to give all of his money to just one son and leave the rest of his children poor. No Torah observant father. So Torah says if the father just gives all, writes on his will, all my money goes to Reuven, he doesn't actually mean gives to Reuven. He said, I trust Reuven to distribute among Shimon, Yehuda, and so on and so forth. He's the one that's agun, he's the one that's doesn't have the Yetzirah of money. He's going to be the one to distribute it to everybody else. He's responsible for it. So obviously Hashem, who gave us this law in Mount Sinai, of course he followed his own rule. So the Gemara asks, so how is it that Hashem gave some of his sons money and some of his sons he didn't give money? If there's no such thing as a father giving all of the money to just one person, to one son, how is it that Hashem made some people rich and some people poor? How can He give so much more to one and not the other? And the Gemara responds and answers, said, no, He didn't give the money to the rich and not to the poor. All He did is that He made the rich the legal guardians of Hashem's money. He made you in charge of the money. $50,000 a year, He's giving $50,000 a year to be in charge of. $100,000 a year, He's giving $100,000 a year to be in charge of. $1 million in a bank, give you $1 million to be in charge of. Not for you to just keep it and buy houses and cars and shtiyot. Obviously you need to live within reason. But the real part of it, the real reason why I give it to you, is so you can distribute to those who don't have. Especially the ones that are fulfilling His will. Especially the ones that are learning His Torah. Especially the ones that are collecting His sons together and say, hey, come back home. Hashem is looking for you all these years. All these years He's looking for you. On earth, 50 years, you still don't say Shema Yisrael. Shema Yisrael, you don't say. 50 years you're on earth, you don't say Shema Yisrael. Hashem is looking for you. He's calling you 50 years, you haven't answered. I finally found you. Come back. To finish it off, he says in the Mishnah the following. He uses the verse from the book of Chronicles, where it says, David HaMelech says the following. He says, for everything is from you, and from your hand we have given you. Meaning, everything is from you, and we took from your hand to put back into your hand. Everything we have is really yours, and whatever we're giving, we're not really giving, it's really yours, we're just returning it to you. When we're giving it to your Talmidei Chachamim, we're giving it to your Torah, we give it for mitzvot, we're not giving anything, really, we're just taking from one hand of yours to another hand of yours.
That is, where is it then?
Chronicles 1 verse 29-14. In the previous verse before it, it says, for who am I, and who are my people that are gathered enough strength, meaning gathered enough wealth, to donate so generously? Who are we, that we have this zchut to be so generous? It's all yours. So the question is, what is the deeper meaning of this? In the book of Proverbs, chapter 3, verse 18, Shlomo HaMelech tells us something that we repeat in Tfilat Shachrit every day at the end of Shachrit after Alenu L'Shabeach. We say it, there's also other times during the week we say it, but mainly there. It says, Etz Chaim Idem Achazikim Ba V'Tomchei HaMeushar. The tree of life is for its is for the ones that are strong holding it, and the ones who invest in it end up being the ones that are happiest. So, Etz Chaim is a tree of life, is a symbolic term for Torah. It says the ones that are holding on to it by supporting it, they're the ones that are going to be the happiest. Now if you find out, if you look at it interestingly, the sentence says, Etz Chaim Idem Mechazikim Ba V'Tomchei HaMeushar. You need to know a little Hebrew for this part, but nonetheless it's still a chidush worth saying. If you look at it, it says Lemechazikim Ba. Lemechazikim is for the ones that are strong holding it, and Ba is the letter Bet and then Hey, which you could also read Lemechazikim Be'Hashem, the ones that are strong holding to Hashem. And V'Tomchei Meushar, and the ones that are contributing to it are the ones that are the most praiseworthy. You can read V'Tomchei Hashem Meushar. The ones that are contributing towards Hashem are the ones that are most praiseworthy. So, but what King Solomon, the wisest of all men, is trying to tell you is that eternal life comes to the ones that support Torah. And this is one of the verses that he's telling us that. It says, you may or may not have been able to become a Talmid Chacham, to become a big tzaddiket in your life. You may or may not have succeeded. You may or may not succeed to reach your full potential. But how do you get to eternal life? How do you get to a point where he says, listen, I know I have enough zchuyot to go to Gan Eden. Can any of us look in the mirror and say, I have enough zchuyot to go to Gan Eden? Shlomo Melech says, listen, you may or may not have reached your full potential, but here's a shortcut. There's a few different things you can do. You do what you have to, but there's also a way for other people to do for you. You invest into the people that are learning Torah, you invest into the people that are fulfilling the Torah, you get their merits. They get a merit, you get a merit, because the mitzvot of tzedakah, that's real tzedakah, are multiplied, meaning it's like fire. It's not like there's, let's say, 100 mitzvot and only the investor gets it. No, the investor gets it, and the one that actually exercises the investment gets it. So there's now 100 turns into 200. But why is this connected to David HaMelech? Why is Rabbi Elazar of Bartosa using this verse from Chronicles as the source for all of this? There's plenty of other sources in the Torah that talk about tzedakah, that talk about investing in Torah. Why is he specifically mentioning this verse? And I had a chidush Baruch Hashem today, and I thought about it this way. For anyone that spent even a moment learning about the end of times, they know that Chazal tell us in the Torah that not everyone necessarily is going to have the merit to be saved at the end of times. Not everybody got to their full potential. Not everybody became Moshe Rabbeinu. Not everybody became their own version of Moshe Rabbeinu. Not everybody even became half of their potential, because we spend too much time in the material world. But the Gemara says, listen, Hashem loves you so much, He's giving you an opportunity to have like a shortcut. It's not really a shortcut, but it's a shortcut. What's the shortcut? All you have to do to be saved in the time of Mashiach is two things. Two things. There's a lot of things to do in the world. Two things. Torah v'gmilut chasadim. Fulfill what the Torah says. Learn Torah, fulfill the mitzvot, be modest. All the things that it says in the Torah. You can't be Mechalel Shabbat and expect the Mashiach to save you. You have to keep Shabbat, you have to keep mitzvot. The second thing is, you have to do gmilut chasadim. Gmilut chasadim means overwhelming kindness. Acts of kindness that are above and beyond just giving. Above and beyond just giving money. Meaning something that is above and beyond the norm. So for example, there's giving somebody tzedakah, and then there's taking somebody to the restaurant and giving him food over there, or inviting him into your house and giving him the food. If it's, let's say you want to give somebody money to eat, instead of giving him $5 to go buy a non-kosher burger, you take him to go with you and you buy him the burger. So that's what would be considered as chesed. But this specific chesed that we're talking about at the time of Mashiach is not buying people burgers. It's not talking about buying burgers. No one's going to be saved because you bought people burgers. Especially if they're not kosher burgers. So what does he mean here? Chazal is telling us, Torah, we know, right? It's easy. Fulfill the Torah. But gmilut chasadim, meaning above and beyond of the traditional chesed or acts of kindness, it means that you have to do something that it's above and beyond your own midot. What is the biggest chesed that anyone can possibly do? Anyone. All of us at the same level, the highest chesed you could possibly do.
Go way beyond.
Save their soul. Saving somebody's neshama, body, let's say you give them food, you're saving their body. Their body is still going to be eaten by maggots at one point. Even if you saved it today and you saved it tomorrow, and you saved them another 30 years. Eventually the maggots are going to eat it anyway. He's not going to live forever. But if you save his soul, you get him to keep Shabbat, you get him to keep mitzvot, then you're saving his soul for eternity. That's what Chazal is talking about when they say gmilut chasadim. They're not talking about buying people burgers and giving challah before Shabbat, or inviting them to your house for a meal if you know they're driving on Shabbat. No, we're talking about save their neshama. That's the highest level of chesed you can possibly do. So,
Just like you say the whole world, right?
Exactly. So Rabbi Elazar ben Bartosa of Bartosa is saying to you this. give him from his own, for you and your possessions are his. Everything you have and you're giving, you're not giving really. It's all his. You're giving Hashem from one hand to another. But Hashem loves you so much that even though you're just returning what He gave you, He's going to pay you for it. And how is He going to pay you? He's going to give you eternity for it. Because you used the money that He gave you to save one of His kids. To save one of your brothers, which you would do anyway if you actually acted to him like he's really your brother. Any questions?
Pretty sure,
No? Almost always has questions. I have to give him a few minutes to heat up.
No, it's a question.
Relevant, not relevant, it's always good.
Get Ramban tonight, right?
You get it the
Every
Ramban.
Siddur has it.
Yes. Well, I don't know if every Siddur has it. I don't know.
I checked.
Actually, I don't have it on my Siddur, so I don't know.
So in every Siddur I check it has it. Like, I know at least like 5 Siddurim that have it in the back.
Okay.
It says whoever says this every day, his prayers that day will be answered. Whoever reads that letter.
It's a sgula, yeah. No.
So it's good to say it every day then.
What's the question? You're asking a question.
Does it really help to get your prayers answered?
It helps you do tshuva. If you're doing tshuva, it helps your prayers answered.
Or does reading that alone won't help, right?
If you read it and you're kofel b'Torah, it's not going to help you. If you read about Shabbat but you don't keep Shabbat, it doesn't help you. A woman came to the Taz. She came to the Taz, Rabbi David Alevi, and the Taz wrote a book, commentary on Shulchan Aruch. She says, Kvod Harav, I need your help. I need a kamea. I need a skula. I need something. She's hysterical, crying. He says, well, what can I do? What can I do? What can I help you with? She goes, I need a kamea. I need skula. I need this. I need this. Why? What happened? What happened? The woman's hysterical, crying. She says, listen, Kvod Harav, I was looking for mekubalim. I could only find you. I need help. I need a kamea. I need a skula. I need kabbalah. What happened? Why are you crying? She says, my daughter has minutes to live. Minutes, not hours, not days, minutes to live. She's on a deathbed. And I remember I heard in a shiur one time they said there's a Gemara in Masechet Baba Metzia, page 116a. It says, if you have a sick person in your home, go to a Chacham. Go to a Talmid Chacham. And have him ask for mercy for you. So the Taz says, listen, I'm not a mekubal. There's Kabbalah, there's this, there's that. I don't do that. I'm not in that level. But I just wrote commentary on the Shulchan Aruch. It's called Sefer HaTaz. And I'll dedicate the chidush. I just finished now. Right before you came, I finished one of the chidushim. I'm going to dedicate that to refuah shlema for your daughter. I can't get a kamea, I can't get a chamsa, I can't get a... No. That's why I give you a chidush. All I have is Torah. I'm going to give you a chidush. One of my chidushim I'm going to give you for the benefit of your daughter. That's all I can offer. I'm sorry. Look at it. What mitzvah? What's she going to do? She comes home, daughter's dancing in the house. What happened? You were dying 5 minutes ago. What happened? Torah. Fulfill Torah. There's no end to salvation. No end. You don't need crazy things. You don't need to play with stars, talk to angels. You don't need any of that. Fulfill Torah. Hon shel schar. There's endless reward for it. Endless. But you have to believe it. So reading the Igeret Ramban is great. But if you're kufir b'Torah, it's not helping you. It's actually hurting you. Learning about Shabbat, learning Mussar, learning this, all of those things are wonderful. But if you're contradicting it on a day-to-day basis through your actions, it's not helping you. You can go to every modesty class on earth. But if you're still wearing short skirts, tank tops, and no kisui rosh, you have a problem, my friend. You understand? So, the point of Torah is to implement what you learn. Hashem is not expecting you to be born tzaddik amur, tzaddikah, where you know everything on day one. But listen, you got to shiur Torah. Rabbi said you have to be modest. That's why it says in the Torah, He provided you sources where Hashem says He hates zima, He hates immodesty, He hates things like that. He doesn't like it. He wants you to be modest. He wants you to be a tzaddikah like Sarah Imenu. Okay, so you have to start doing it. I know it's hard. I know it's difficult. I know you have to change your whole wardrobe. It's not cheap. I know people are going to look at you strange because all of a sudden there's somebody in the neighborhood that actually covers their body, for heaven's sake. I know. It's not easy. It's Hashem. Same thing with a guy. All of a sudden, instead of going out bar hopping at 12 o'clock at night is when he begins his night, all the way till 4 o'clock in the morning, what does he do? He studies Torah, goes to sleep, goes to minyan nets. Goes to pray at 6 o'clock in the morning. Everybody's coming out of the club at 6 o'clock in the morning. He's going to pray. It's hard. It's a big change. He's only 22 years old. It's the time you're supposed to party in this rotten world. He says, no, I'm going to go to tefillat nets. I'm going to go pray. I'm going to learn Torah. I'm going to do good things. Why? That's why he gets the schar. He doesn't get the schar because he was born that way. He gets the schar because it's hard for him. And that's why they say the level that Baalei Tshuva stand, someone that's from their whole life can't get to. Why? Someone's from their whole life, they were born in Bnei Brak, they never left Bnei Brak. They have 4 walls, Sefer Torah, they never left it. He can't get to a level of a Baal Tshuva at 22 years old, not going clubbing anymore, and learns Torah every day. Can't get to it. Why? Because his only choices he's ever seen in his life is the 4 walls, Sefer Torah. He knows it's his culture, he's used to it, it's his life. But the other guy did Tshuva at 20 years old, 30 years old, 40 years old. He saw the world, he saw the naked girls, he saw the clubs, he saw the casinos, he saw all those things. He says, no, I still choose Hashem. I choose Hashem. It's hard, but I choose Him anyway. It's going to be difficult for me, I choose Him anyway. I'm going to have to change my life, I do it anyway. People are going to make fun of me, I'm going to do it anyway. My husband's going to divorce me, I'm going to do it anyway. My wife's going to kill me, I'm going to do it anyway. Why? It's Hashem. Once you make that choice at the moment of truth, that's tshuva. But if you keep reading books and go to lectures and watch things on YouTube, but you don't do anything, better off you didn't do it. Because in Shamayim they say, listen, you knew everything. How did you not do it? If you didn't know anything, you're ignorant, you're a little horse, walking around in creation, just filling space. Well, they didn't come to you, they said, you didn't know, you thought you were a horse, and the horse thought you was human. Both of you mixed spaces. But you watch shiurim on YouTube, on Torah Anytime, on Torah Bank, on this one and that one. You watched everything. BezratHashem.org. You went to a shiur Torah. You had CDs. You had this. You had that. You listened to all shiur Torah. You still didn't do tshuva. There's nobody worse than you. You understand? No. So Bezrat Hashem, this is another shiur that will wake up people from all over the world. Because right now there's a spiritual war, but there's many, many souls to save. Anyone that's serious about Hashem, serious about God, it's about time. You have to do something about it. If you want to convert, get serious with it. Stop wasting time. You want to do tshuva, get serious with it. Stop wasting time. The reason why is because Hashem says at the end of times to the prophet Ezekiel, whether you want to or not, you will serve me. So it's better you learn from me through nice, sometimes funny shiurei Torah that are interesting, intimidating sometimes. It's better you learn from me, because it's just words. Because if Hashem says you're going to serve me anyway, that means you can either learn from a seminar, or a shiur Torah, or a YouTube video, or you can learn to Him talking to you. When He talks to you, it's painful. I have a little experience with that too. So better we learn that way, it's much better for us, and realize that His is His. Everything is His. The more we realize that everything is His, Bezrat Hashem, the closer we are to Him. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.
Thank you, bro. This one right here.